Maybe it's cold out. Look out. Don't
It's perfect.
That's great.
Oh, I know.
Good morning, everybody. Everyone could take their seat and get themselves comfortable, please.
Just now catching up.
And if you feel you need some more windows open, please feel free to open up the windows if you'd like some more air ventilation.
Oops, trying to steal your pen.
Is it 10?
Wait, where's the hand sanitizer?
At 9:53, and I'd like to call this meeting of the Kane County Board, December 14th, 2021 to order.
I'm stealing your pen.
Please call the roll.
Ellen,
Alan, present. Good morning.
good morning. Bates. Present. Berman,
Berman here.
Brown,
Brown here.
Davis,
Davis here.
Ford,
Present.
Gums,
Gums here.
Iqbal,
Iqbal present.
Kenyon,
Kenyon here.
Caius,
Caius present.
Kobe.
Kobe is present.
Thank you. Leonard,
Leonard here.
Lewis,
Lewis here.
Martin,
Martin present.
Molina,
Molina present.
Sanchez,
Sanchez here.
Shepro,
Shepro present.
Silva.
Silva's here. Good morning.
Morning. Strathman,
Strathman here.
Surgis,
Burgess present.
Tepe,
Tepe here.
Wallace,
Wallace here.
Winnicki.
Present.
Okay, and Chairman, you have a quorum.
Very good. May I please have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of November 9th and November 30th, 2021?
Kenyon moves to approve.
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Franz.
Madam Chair, I do have one amendment.
Yes.
I would just like to make a motion to correct. There is an item related to Mill Creek and the resolution number was incorrect. And I would like to change that number to 21-553.
21-553.
Correct.
Mill Creek.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Okay. Anything else? Seeing none.
Ari, does Shepro, does Mr. Kenyon accept that change as part of his motion to approve?
Yes.
Yes. Advice of Mark Davis, yes.
Also on the second.
Since,
Will the minutes reflect my advice to him also? Or?
very good, very good. If there's no other changes, I was, please, let's have the vote.
Ellen,
Alan, aye.
Bates, Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kobe,
Kobe, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surgis,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Wallace,
Wallace, yes.
Winnicki.
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, very good. Now I'd like to go back, please, and have the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation, and that will be presented by Mr. Wallace.
Thank you, Madam Chair. All rise.
Flag of the United States of America. For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone can be seated. For the invocation, brothers and sisters, let us come before God now with thankfulness and reflection. God, we come before you with humility as we set about carrying forward and completing the tasks that you have enabled us to do. Before we begin, let us reflect on your glory and your word. In his letter to the church at Galatia, the Apostle Paul told your people to follow the model set forth by your Son, Jesus, when he said, "In his grace, God has given us different gifts for doing certain things well. So if God has given you the ability to prophesy, speak out with as much faith as God has given you. If your gift is serving others, serve them well. If you're a teacher, teach well. If your gift is to encourage others, be encouraging. If it is giving, give generously. Don't just pretend to love others, really love them. Hate what is wrong, hold tightly to what is good. Love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. When God's people are in need, be ready to help them. Always be eager to practice hospitality and live in harmony with each other. As much as 2,000 years ago, these words ring true. We gather here today as servants, just as Jesus came to serve. We also, in our hearts, should be set to serve others. God, you do not see us as Republicans or Democrats, as Genevans, Aurorans, Elginites, not as Illinoisans or even Americans. You see us as your children and ask us to see one another as brother and sister, placed here in this place today to use our collective gifts to serve others. Lord, we ask for your blessing, guidance, and support as we endeavor to do just that. In your holy name, the Lord's people say, amen.
Amen.
That was lovely. Thank you so much. So next is our public comment. As a matter of protocol, we ask our speakers to refrain from statements or remarks or conduct that might become disruptive to the conduct of the county board or which might cause a disturbance. I know we do have some public comment and some people have signed up, so we'll go in that order. And I do see some people who have signed up to speak. I also have a letter that I will have Celeste read that was sent, an email that was sent to me that I would like to be able to share with you. The first speaker is Ruth Kuzmenik.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Madam Speaker. My name is Ruth Kuzmanik, and some of you may remember my name. I know Mr. Shepro was my opponent here, and I lost to him in the last election. I'm glad you're here doing the work as opposed to me, because currently the work I'm doing is a substitute teacher. I'm a retired teacher after 38 years in the profession. I'm a substitute teacher, and I'm here to talk to you about the importance of the COVID vaccination, because I understand that it's before you to reduce the hours of the mass vaccination site at the old Sam's Club location. I've used that myself, and so have my adult children, to be vaccinated, and it runs beautifully and smoothly, and all the people that work there are just angels in the work that they are doing. Today is the anniversary of when the Pfizer rolled out the first vaccinations in the truck. So it's very appropriate that we're talking about this today. And that was back in 2020. Took a while before we got the vaccinations out to the public, but now we've got a system that works. And I hate to see it go backwards. I know the hours right now are limited. They're only on Tuesday afternoons and Saturday mornings, which is a little problematic for some people who are in the working situation. And we like to think that we're through this. We all want to be done with it. We all want to be through it. But unfortunately, we still have, just yesterday in Kane County, 786 new cases of COVID yesterday in our county. Our county so far, we've had over 26,000 people die. I'm sure you know those numbers because they're on the Kane County website. I'm sure that you see them. In terms of what's going on with the hours over there, we want to get our frontline workers all vaccinated, particularly in our hourly wage jobs. It's very difficult to go when you can only go on certain hours of the day, you know, Tuesday afternoons and Saturday mornings. And we want to get our students vaccinated as well. And that's where me as a substitute teacher comes into play. I hope you have seen it, that all the school districts in the area are just really struggling with substitutes. Part of it is, you know, because of the numbers of people when you are exposed, you have to take off a certain amount of days. Students have to take off a certain amount of days when they're exposed. So that's part of it. And of course, if you come down with COVID, how long you're out for. So the more we can get our population vaccinated, and currently our vaccination rate is only just below 60%, the better. So please expand the hours, at least into the evenings a little bit. I understand that maybe you don't want to go days, but at least into the evenings. And when I look at the money, it looks like the federal grant money is there. I've looked at your items that are online. We got 1.25 million, and we still have, we've only spent 52% of that. So where's the other 48% going? Why can't we keep that mass vaccination site open? It's centrally located. And it sounds like on your website that it's going to be easy to just go to other places. There's 90 other sites. Well, most of those sites are Walgreens, CVS, Meijer that have limited hours. You have to sign up on a computer or a telephone, which takes time. And many of our English second language speakers or our older population is not comfortable with computers, or they don't have time if they're hourly wage workers to sit on the phone and make an appointment, okay? So please think about keeping the VAC Center open, at least for the limited hours that you have now. Thank you for your time.
The next speaker is Susan Sanders.
Good morning. Thank you all for allowing citizens to speak and your hard work at making and keeping Kane County a wonderful place to live. I also am a retired teacher. I still work in my school with equity, and that's part of the reason I'm speaking. My concern about keeping vaccination clinics available and easy for access. Personally, I was an aggressive vax appointment seeker. I had time, good technology, good internet, and computer skills. It was still a challenge to get the vaccination. My concern is for people who have language, economic, technology, and time challenges. The Vax Clinic is and was accessible. The more people who receive a vaccination, the less our hospitals and healthcare workers are challenged. So I support keeping the Vax Clinic open to help eradicate COVID. Thank you.
Thank you. Lona Steele.
Good morning, all of you. I'm from Geneva, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County. When we heard the news this week of the imminent closure of the vaccination center in the former Sam's Club in Batavia, we were a little surprised. And so I want to issue a statement from the League of Women Voters, Central Kane County, on behalf of myself. I'm third vice president, Jean Pierce from Geneva, who is first vice president, and Patty Lackman from Batavia, who is second vice president. The League of Women Voters believes that quality health care must be available to all U.S. residents. LWV also believes this quality health care should be delivered in an efficient and economical way. We do not believe that closing a mass vaccination site makes sense at this time, especially since Kane County is experiencing a high transmission rate. Additionally, offering appointments for the vaccination only at the Aurora office makes little sense in that it requires an appointment, which takes additional time. This puts an undue hardship on those possibly most in need of the vaccine. Since there is sufficient funding to keep the center open, we urge the Public Health Committee to reconsider its decision to close the mass vaccination site on December 15th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Linda Robertson.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I happen to be a semi-retired microbiology who's starting to feel like Cassandra. Back when Chairman Lausen was there, I warned about how bad this was going to be. I've been at school board meetings when Delta came through, and I'm also now looking at Omicron, and we haven't even had that hit yet. And I see this as the wide availability for vaccination as a critical issue. First of all, as a taxpayer, I don't want to waste my money on people who are hospitalized, who are slamming our hospitals, getting lowering the morale of the nurses and doctors, causing them to leave the area. I want to praise that county vaccination site. I went to it. Everything was handled beautifully. The Pfizer vaccine, all the things were recorded. Then I went, because I'm a technology geek, to go down to my look at the state vaccination records. And lo and behold, another Linda Robertson was entered in my data. And it was done at a doctor's office. And I've had the state everybody's trying to get that record out, and they can't. Furthermore, I wanted the flavor of Moderna, so I went there to Costco, and I had my vaccination there. And as I'm leaving, I looked down, and they hadn't recorded the information you need on that vaccine card. My husband, I told to be certain about it. And 2 days later, he went for his, came back. I looked at his card, and it wasn't filled out. In contrast to the doctors, to the pharmacy that I've seen, the vaccination center did a wonderful job. Keep it open. It's so important, because right now we have children finally getting vaccinations, which included my grandsons, who will be fully immune in another week. We have so many people who need boosters. And if you haven't had a booster, don't think that if you had COVID and survived it, or you've had your first 2 shots, that you're going to be safe. Please keep it open. Thank you.
Thank you. I've asked Celeste to read a letter that I was given, I believe last night. That would, this individual from North Aurora would like to be placed on the public record.
Okay, this letter is from Kathleen Fee. And it reads, Dear Chairman Pirog, thank you for your hard work. I would like to voice my displeasure that the Kane County Board meetings are during the workday. The board discusses and makes vital decisions that affect us as citizens. We cannot participate during work hours. For instance, tomorrow's board meeting regarding the Kane County Vaccine Clinic, I would like to participate and voice my opinion that this clinic needs to stay open. This clinic is essential given that COVID continues to infect with numerous variants presenting. There is nothing more important than vaccinating the unvaccinated. Please fight to keep this open for the safety and health of our county. Please consider putting the board meetings at a time when constituents can attend, not when it is convenient to the board members. That's from Kathleen Fee of North Aurora.
Thank you. I believe that concludes our public comment. Oh, very good.
Bob's got his hand up.
Thought I heard a call from the.
It does not conclude. I believe Mr. McQuillan.
He's here.
And Mr. McQuillan, as a reminder, if it's to agenda, you have 5 minutes. If it's off agenda, there are 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I just want to start my timer. Good morning, Bob McQuillan, 465 Walcott Lane, Batavia. There have been several interesting things that happened over the last month. First, I met with Madam Chair and Mr. Shepro concerning the $58,000 spent at DuPry. The bottom line is there's no documentation on the it's tuition, no, it's training question. Second, the Kane County Chronicle reported that their request for documentation was denied by the FOIA official, which is Roger Fonstock for the IT department. Number 3, on appeal, the Illinois State Attorney's Office ruled that the county has to report back to them on the steps taken to find the documentation and why there is no documentation for the requested information. Next, the individual who authorized the payments has gone on the defense, claiming that the county board is to blame because they approved all the payments. And as a matter of fact, just before the meeting, he spoke to me and again reemphasized that all of the invoices were available to the previous county board. Next, in a phone call to me, the former board chairman agreed that the board should be held responsible because they approved payments 19 times. Sounds like the wagons have been circled. So, is the board to blame? An interesting question, especially in an election year. What is the board's defense? Thank you and Merry Christmas.
As a matter of courtesy, is there anybody else who wishes to speak? And I believe online, I'm not seeing anybody. So may I have a motion and a second to place these public comments on file?
Shepro moves.
Berman second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Okay. Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates, Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Gums,
Yes.
okay, Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Tyus,
Science, yes.
Hopi,
Copey, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surgis,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Wallace,
Wallace, yes.
Winnicke.
Yes.
That passes.
It passes.
Madam Chair, Shepro.
Yes, Mr. Shepro.
I know we don't usually respond to public comments, but I have heard the comments about the closing of the vaccination site. And I think one of them said that she hoped the board would reverse its decision. And I feel compelled to point out that, to my knowledge, the board never made such a decision to do that. And many board members that I have spoken to were as shocked and surprised as I was to learn that that had occurred. And I could assure the speakers that, to the extent that I can do anything about, I believe that decision was wrong, whoever made it. And that this board needs to find out how it was that that came to be done in the first place.
The set of incidents that I'm aware of, what happened, is a conversation was had several days ago, last week ago, with myself, with Mr. Sanchez and Mr. Allen, to discuss the continuation of the site in Batavia. We are under current negotiations right now with the owner to ensure that we can stay there, which I believe we can stay there till either the beginning of May or end of May, at rent-free. I have been assured by the mayor of Batavia, who's currently sitting here in the audience, that Batavia will guarantee that all utilities will be paid on that site until the site is closed. This is at no cost to the county. At that time, I heard their concerns from Ms. Fosser regarding the exhaustion, should I say, of their staff. I asked at that time that she would reconsider. Mr. Sanchez was there to keep it open until January, not the beginning of January, and perhaps I wasn't clear enough, but through January, so that conversation could be had to see what next steps were. That's how that conversation ended. Last Thursday evening, I was in bed, my cup of tea and my cookie, relaxing and reading, trying to get myself to sleep. I was flipping through my phone, checking in emails, seeing if there was any interesting bit of news, which oftentimes there is. And I came across an article that was put out by the Kane County Health Department. That said, the mass vac site was shutting down December 15th. I got up from bed, started texting, started emailing, asking Mr. Sanchez and Ms. Foster to redact that press release. Spoke with Mr. Sanchez the following morning. He said he would review the press release and work with Kathy Foster in revising it. He also shared with me when I said the county board did not approve this. He said it is not under the jurisdiction of the county board to make such a decision. It is under the purview of the health department to make this decision. Friday came, busy day. Didn't see any revised press release that was sent to me, nor received a phone call from Mr. Sanchez saying that I should take a look at the revised press release. Well, I saw the press release later on that afternoon that was sent out with Mr. Sanchez's full knowledge now, because he is quoted in this press release. Right now, it is scheduled to close, according to the press release, on January 5th. The last 2 days, one in December, late December, the other one on January 5th, is simply to give the second Pfizer shot for our pediatric patients. I believe no adults at this time are going to be giving their shots. I'm scared. I'm scared for the health of Kane County. Now, I can tell you why I'm scared. Yesterday, which one of our speakers spoke about, the Illinois public officials on Monday, yesterday, reported 786 new cases of COVID. That was over the weekend. On Friday morning, that preceded that, 400 new cases of COVID. And I will go on. Kane County now has 77,279 total cases of the virus. And the next number to me is even more frightening. 922 deaths. 922 families have been impacted by this virus here in Kane County. The loss of a child, of a grandmother, of a son, of a daughter. I've talked about this before. I only know too dearly what grief is like. And yet, the health department, because they're tired and didn't reach out to us for help, has unilaterally decided that they're going to shut this down. I say no to that. And I hope you'll join me in saying no to that. The health of our community, the health of our county is the most important thing we can do. And as we move forward with the ARP committee, which is directly supportive of the COVID virus, as was talked about once again in public forum, public comment, that money is there to mitigate an issue, to stop the issue, to support the issue. How can we possibly support this issue if we are stopping the ability to halt it? If we as a board are sanctioning the closing of a mass vac site where on Saturday, apparently there were 100 people circled around the building waiting to get in on a Saturday morning. I was there to get my booster 2 weeks ago, late in the afternoon on a Wednesday. Families were coming in with their children. It was wonderful. People were getting vaccinated. Adults, children, families together. I'm scared, and I said that before. I'm angry that we are compromising the well-being of this county by a decision that was made independently of our board. Which brings me to the next discussion item. And I hope, Mr. Sanchez, when we have committee reports, you will speak to this. And I hope you speak well. Because of the changes and the comments that I've heard from the board, cross-party line, and I think you all know that during this tenure that I've had this 1 year, I have promised you that I would do my very best to govern in a nonpartisan manner. When I am here, yes, I vote Democrat. I am a proud Democrat. But when I am here, I'm your county board chairman. I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. I am here to represent, and I feel like I'm speaking as a former chairman had, 514,000 people. They're sitting right here on my shoulder. I'm concerned about them. I worry about them. I worry about their economic health. I worry about their transportation needs. I worry about our water. I worry about the homeless, that there are 50 homeless people in Elgin, and how can we help them? I'm worried about the increase in our domestic abuse that's happening, and how can we help CASA? How can we help the state's attorney to mitigate that? Those are the things I'm worried about. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I'm your county board chairman, and by Jesus, God help us. When you are given an opportunity to lead as a chairman of a committee, I expect you to lead. Truly lead, not make excuses for why you can't get something done. To be honest, if you need help, there's 25 people out here willing to help, willing to hear. If your committee needs more financial resources, let us know. We'll find a way to get it done. If you need a new boiler, let us know. We'll find a path to it. But if you don't talk to us, if you don't tell us, and you keep on pushing it away, how can you lead? So, because of that, I reviewed appointments to the county board and other committees. Annually, every December, is my responsibility to bring this forward to you. This discussion can happen today, if you so choose, or it can be held back until another date in January. And I will let you make that decision now. But I want to share with you, and I'm telling you, Mr. Sanchez, I'm telling you directly, this is not a Republican decision. It is not a Democrat decision. It's a decision made for skill and work. Open for discussion. How would you like to move this?
No.
You didn't include anything in the agenda. I don't know what you're referring to.
Appointments to the county board, standing and other committees, not included. Do we have this? Yes, please. Thank you.
So just because it wasn't included, I would like us to review it and then maybe bring it back to discussion next month. But outside of that, I don't have anything else to say at this moment. I don't know what you're referring to.
There are two committees that have been suggested for change. Just for the leadership. That is the ARP committee, and that is the health department. American Rescue Plan. Just so for the record, it's the American Rescue Plan is what I was referring to. In public health.
Madam Chair, if I might.
Yes, Mr. Sanchez.
In my time with the American Rescue Plan Committee, it was made very apparent that this board desires at least 48 business hours to review any resolution or other type of thing that we will be voting upon. Clearly, this was on the agenda 48 business hours ago, but we haven't seen this actual text within 48 hours. So by that standard, I would suggest that we postpone this discussion and potential vote until next month.
Is that a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second. Kaya, second.
Any discussion on that? Mr. Tepe?
Tepe here. I believe it's very important that we address these issues as soon as possible. And I think change in leadership is necessary on these two committees. So I will be voting against this motion.
Yes.
If I may, Madam Chairman, I'm disappointed the fact that you've had conversations with other county board members. You've decided not to take into consideration members of those committees. I sit on the American Rescue Plan Committee. Never once did you decide to call me and maybe ask me for my opinion as to why you thought Chairman Sanchez was not doing a good job in leadership. I listen in on the Public Health Committee meetings. The person who signed.
Ma'am, I did call you. You didn't return the call.
I did Saturday. And you called me about something else. The second thing I want to mention is the Public Health Committee and the talk about the VAC site. The chair is the one who signed the contract to the VAC site. And it was signed again in September of 2021 and approved by this board for 3 months extension. At some point, I think we all need to take into consideration that it does not just sit on the committee's chairperson's responsibility to take action or create policy or to direct our staff. It's everyone's responsibility in this room. So when you said you sound like the prior county board chair, you do, because you are throwing a person under the bus to make yourself look better. And I'm really disappointed in your actions right now. And I personally will be voting against these appointments. But at this point in time, I think I request that we sit on it for 30 days to really review and to really create and discuss why you think someone else would be doing a better job, and maybe formulate a plan as to what the job is of the chairs for each of these either standing or ad hoc committees. Because I'd like to know what your vision and what you feel the roles and responsibilities of our chairs are. Thank you.
Copy, please.
Mr. Kobe, hold on. Mr. Frost has got the table.
Frost speaking. I guess this is a question, I guess a parliamentary question. I would like a little bit more time to delve into this one because it concerns one of our members, and but I do understand the time concerns. Is there a way that this board today can direct the health department to extend the operation and hours of that facility to whatever we deem, whether it's late January or May? I mean, because that seems to be the more pressing question based on our public comments today and discussion.
I believe so.
I mean, if we could do that, I would be open to taking 30 days to make what is a fairly serious decision where we've just had the paperwork for a few minutes here.
My question would be, I don't know if Kathy Foster is here, if she has scheduled the additional appointments to go out into January, and if she has arranged for staff to become available for that. It's a complicated issue. Hold on, I think Mr. Kobe.
Could we address
Thank you,
Mr.
ma'am.
Frost's
Oh, Mr. Foss, I think I just,
parliamentary point? Shepro,
yes.
I'm about to ask the state's attorney, who I see was going to weigh in. Technically, there's no agenda item to make that direction. On the other hand, it does seem to me that there is a certain urgency about it that might give us some latitude. And I guess I would ask the state's attorney if there's some thought about how we could accomplish what I hope is the overwhelming sentiment of the board, that the operations there should be extended.
So this is State's Attorney Mosser. At this time, because it's not on the agenda, no formal vote or action can be taken. The board can express an opinion that they can obviously give to the health department, and I believe Ms. Foster is online. I see her, but we can't do anything more formal than that at this point.
Could I ask a question of Ms. Foster?
Oh, absolutely.
Ms. Foster, Board Member Fraz speaking. If it was the consensus of this board and the opinion of this board in today's meeting, would you be prepared to staff and man that facilities for the next, at least till the end of January, if not later?
We can definitely try to do that. We just need to overcome some challenges that we've come across. For instance, last week, we did have some issues with the vaccines, like the delivery of them. We were able to scramble and get them before the vaccination began a week ago. And then another thing that we had is because we've been having challenges staffing them, we reached out to IEMA to get help for vaccinators, and the state had promised us the help. And last week, Wednesday, we had 10 of them not show up. So this was concerning. We scrambled. We pulled a couple of our nurses that were supposed to be doing other work. And we pulled them and brought them in. We begged the state to get us some people, which I believe they did. Oh, hi, Laura, are you on? I'm sorry. But we, long story short, we have challenges. We can try to make it work. I believe we can get help from the state through the end of January. We just have to make sure that we don't have what happened to us happen again, because I know we're trying so hard to be professional and make everything quality. And I'm so happy that many people are proud of us for this, and we want to continue, but we also do not want to compromise our other clinical programs. You know, we have other programs. We're behind in our lead program. We're behind in our high-risk infant program. There's things that we're behind on, but if we could get maybe more contract help, I don't know if it's just because of the holidays, but we've reached out to many clinical places to try to get help, especially for vaccinators, and we've had trouble with that too. Maybe it's just the holidays. Maybe we can definitely get the people through January. We can certainly try. But there's just some heavy concerns, but you know, we can definitely try.
Point of order, please.
Mr. Copey.
Thank you, ma'am. Point of order. This is Tom Copey, District 9. We can have these discussions in the next 30 days. And to my point, if I can continue, if we could get a 30-day cool down and get some information that we can digest, then I would support Mr. Sanchez's motion, but I would like to offer an amendment to the motion that we have a mandatory continuation of the opening of the vaccination sites for at least 90 days. That's it. Thank you.
Shepro has a point of order. I understand what Mr. Copey is trying to do, but those two items are not germane to each other, and the issue of keeping it open is completely separate from the procedural motion to defer opponents.
I will retract the second portion of that if I could be recognized to make a motion for an amendment.
I mean, it would be my intent to offer a motion with respect to the keeping of the site open But right now, there is another motion on the floor, which would take precedence.
Is there
Of
any other-
which I intend to amend. I'm asking for amendment for that motion.
We can't amend a motion to postpone by taking substantive action on an unrelated issue, Tom.
Oh, I understand what you, okay, I understand your point. Well, you can't blame me for trying. Thank you.
Very good. Yes, Mr. Fontaine.
Prior speaking. So I guess my personal position is that I would like to have the 30 days to discuss the item that is under current motion. And then I would hope after that, and maybe that's what Mr. Shepro's alluding to, that we could somehow give our consensus to the health department to give us a report as soon as possible on their ability to keep the vac site open. And, you know, if you're open for 1 minute, you're open. So, I mean, if we get open for a day or two, a week or an evening and a Saturday or something like that, I think we could bow to their concerns with staffing.
Is there any other discussion? Yes, Ms. Bates?
Madam Chair, you are saying that this is not political, that this is a non-political or a bipartisan decision, but it does feel very political to me for reasons that I can't quite fathom. I feel like it's being rushed through in a very unprofessional way. I will be voting yes to postpone this decision. I agree with Ms. Molina that we had no prior notice of these changes, and therefore I will be voting to postpone.
Yes, Mr.
Madam
Iqbal.
Chair, just for a point of clarification, you gave us this list. The only difference that I can see is that you want to remove Mr. Sanchez from 2 committee chairmanship and replace him with Mr. Wallace on the public health and Mr. Brown on the ARC plan. Is that correct?
That is accurate.
Okay.
And Mr. Sanchez, of course, will remain on those committees. He's certainly not being removed. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Bill Leonard speaking. I have always said that I will not vote on any issue unless I have at least 24 and hopefully 48 hours to look at it, study it, and make a decision. So I will not be voting to approve this. I forget how the motion was set up, but I think we need 30 days for everybody on the board, because I don't think everybody on the board has been apprised of what's going on, either from you, Madam Chair, or from the other people on the board. So I think it's just something where I've always had that regulation that I need 24 minimum, hopefully 48 hours to review things before I vote on those. So I will not be voting to approve these changes, even though I don't personally have anything against any of the people being involved. I just feel it's prudent on my part to be able to study this and review it before I vote.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I think those of you who have patiently listened to me over the past year know that I am often very concerned with process. Perhaps like Mr. Tepe, I think there may need to be some changes made. But in my conversations over the last 48 hours with many board members, it is quite clear to me that there are questions that many board members have that have not probably had a chance to be developed, answered. And so I also will support postponing this, but recognizing that I do think there are serious issues that will be raised. But like Mr. Leonard, I think, we had kind of, as a result of other issues in some of the committees, reached a consensus that we would not act on something without at least 48 hours notice. And clearly not every board member had that notice. So that would be my recommendation and will be my vote.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's obviously, I think we need to wait the 30 days, but also I wouldn't mind seeing a list of the health department concerns and also a list of how many people have been there on during the week on certain days and what the peak hours are. So we can take a look at, because we already hear the concerns from the community. So maybe just like been said before, that maybe there's a way to work out that the hours and the days, maybe we don't need to be open as many days as we are. Maybe there's a way to adjust things. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So that is into the conversation that we're going to be having separately about the mass vac site, not to the motion at hand. Correct?
Correct.
So as a reminder, and I think everybody's had an opportunity to discuss. Did I miss anybody?
And Madam Chair, I just wanted to confirm, the motion is to postpone to a date certain, which is January 11th, which is our next court date.
Correct.
And this was a motion made by Mr.
That
San.
court.
I apologize. That's my other half. Thank you. The next day for the board meeting will be January 11th. It was motioned by Mr. Sanchez and I believe second by Mr. Caius.
That's accurate. It is my responsibility every December to bring this list to you at the December board meeting. By state statute 2-48. So county code.
That's a different question, Madam Chair.
So
It's probably.
I know, I understand, but this is the reason why it was brought to your attention today. And the changes, those two suggested changes, I certainly support that we can bring this forward for discussion. If you would like to have a special board meeting to discuss this, we can make the arrangements. But I think with no other conversation, are we ready?
Call the question.
Please call the vote.
Again, this is Shepro. This is a vote on the motion to postpone the proposed appointments for until the next meeting of the county board in January.
Yes.
So a yes vote would be a vote to postpone, and a no vote would be to consider them today. Am I
Correct.
correct?
That's correct.
Okay. This is to postpone to January 11th, 2022. Ellen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, aye.
Berman,
Berman, no.
Brown,
Brown here, as I am one of the three names listed as a change, I will be abstaining from this.
Good for you.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Gums,
Comes, yes.
Iqbal.
Iqbal present.
Present, okay. Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, no.
Wallace,
Abstain.
and Winnicke.
Yes.
That passes.
Does pass. We'll move that discussion to January 11th. If you need any additional information regarding this, please let me know, and I'd be happy to offer you appropriate information. Whatever it is that you need to further this discussion to adequately address those needs, again, please let me know so that I can make that appropriate, because I think it's critically important that what we share with one board member is shared with all. So we'll make sure that we do document your questions, and you can send them to Jane, and she will get those to me, and they'll make sure that they are addressed appropriately I hope with honesty.
And if I can, Madam Chair, I'd like to also request the notes of meetings I heard happened with you and fellow board members where you discussed your what you felt the reasoning was to make these changes. So if you can create a small narrative as to why you felt these changes needed to be made and sent out to the board, I'd appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Madam Chair, Shepro Parliamentary Inquiry. I would like to present a motion along the lines suggested by Mr. Fraz, and I'm somewhat in doubt as the appropriate place to make that. Whether it could be made now, whether it should be, I mean, it is arguably new business under item 7, which would be the next item, although I know we have presentations scheduled as well. If I guess I would like to make the motion at this time, and it is as follows. That the board, having been made aware of the proposed closing of the Batavia vaccination site, finds one, that the nature of the pandemic, the lack of prior knowledge of the closing date, and the need for addressing the continuing public health crisis and vaccination provide an emergency requiring immediate action by this board. And that accordingly, it is the direction of the board that the health department take all necessary steps to ensure that the vaccination site remains open until the end of January, at which point the board and or the appropriate committee will review what additional steps can be taken. Please don't ask me to repeat it.
Do you have that? Celine?
And I believe Mr. Fraz seconded.
Mr. Frost does second. I believe discussion, yes.
Copy, please.
Serge is here. I'm somewhat confused because I felt at the last meeting that we were very succinct in saying that the site would stay open through January. There wasn't hesitation in anybody's voice. And that in fact, we said that the site would remain open free of charge from the landlord. So I'm at a loss as to what the hullabaloo is this morning to keep it open for January. I thought we already did that and it was open for January.
That's.
I'm mistaken.
No. That's my memory as well. But as I mentioned, December, last Thursday, whatever that date was, that press release went out clearly stating that it was going to be closed on the 15th, December 15th. Then a revised press release went out where it's going to be opened up 2 more times. Just mentioned pediatric patients, but definitely closing on January 5th, the last day.
So it's just, so just for my edification, it's just a bad press release. There was no action taken to close it prior to February 1st. It remains open.
But without staff. And the press release clearly says it's closing
As of tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Tepe here. The press release clearly said that it was open only for specific appointments that had already been made to give second shots to people.
Okay.
And the part that had me quite disturbed is I sit on the Public Health Committee, and nothing had been said, to my knowledge, in the Public Health Committee about any of these changes, nor was I in any way, shape, or form, as a member of that committee, contacted by any member of the health department or by the chair regarding this announcement. And it is just utterly disturbing to me that that kind of management action is happening without the due course and the consent of this board. And that's why I'm extremely upset.
So I'm clear, Vern. So the motion is to simply set the record straight on an erroneous press release.
No, I mean, I think it is to give direction to a decision, that it appears to have been made, as Mr. Tepe indicated, without any reference to the committee. To make clear what the policy of this board is and the direction with respect to that action.
Now we're going to find out how much authority we really
Yes, Ms. Winnicki.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's not on the agenda, so I don't think we can move forward with that. I do have a question for Jamie. According to our county code, does our Madam Chair have the sole authority to keep that vaccination site open?
So I believe the board has the authority to extend the lease.
Okay,
And I hope that answers your question because it would have to be a board action at this point.
okay.
You are correct that this is not an agenda item.
Correct.
So at this point, the most that can happen as a result of Mr. Shepro's motion is that a consensus can be given, but this would not be final action.
Hey, I respectfully disagree with our distinguished state's attorney.
I don't
My
think you
motion
can.
included a specific finding that the board found there to be an emergency, which is an exception to the Open Meetings Act.
Right, but I think you would have to, as a board, extend the lease, and that would be a formal binding action at this point. Now, Ms. Foster
Understood.
Ms. Foster has emergency powers, so she can extend it.
My understanding is that the lease does not terminate on
That's what-
December 15th.
That's my understanding as well. The lease.
That was my point to begin with.
The lease is not terminating, but what is happening is that there's not going to be any staffing occurring. So the building will be there functioning. Air conditioning, heat, electricity.
Shepro,
Just
my
so there won't be
understanding,
anybody in there.
my understanding is that the lease remains in effect and the assistance from the city of Batavia remains in effect. It is only the decision apparently by staff to close their operations there, which are at issue. And I think with respect to that, obviously, reasonable minds might disagree. I don't think in this case that there should be, the Open Meetings Act was not designed to frustrate dealing with emergencies. And I think this is one. This happened very quickly. It came up, as I understand it, late Thursday.
Thursday night.
I know I became aware of it about like 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night on Thursday, on a decision that is supposed to take effect tomorrow. And I think, I frankly, if that's not an emergency, I can't imagine what would be. And then, well, that's enough.
Davis, our problem doesn't seem to be with a lease, with having a facility or utilities, or funding in any sense of the word. Ms. Foster's already come on and said that, there were challenges with available vaccine and available manpower, but that she would try. So on an emergency basis, and I concur with, what's been said, that under emergency basis, we have some authority to act even without it being an agenda item. The question is, what can we do to help her staff it and move forward? There seems to be consensus that it should remain open and that we should protect the lives of the people of Kane County in any way we can on this. So the question is, how do we help her? Ms. Foster has indicated she's prepared to do that, to try. What do we do to help her with that effort? That's the question that remains right now, I think.
Madam Chair, Dr. Silva.
Yes, Dr. Silva.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also Vice Chair of the Public Health Committee. My colleague just very succinctly expressed his thoughts, and I share them. The issue, staff did not open the mass vaccination clinic on their own. I find it hard to believe that staff would just take on this decision on their own. I have worked in one way, shape, or form with probably about 5 or 6 directors for public health along the years. And having been chair for the Public Health Department committee, I don't see how this would have organically happened. I don't see how staff would decide to take down or dismantle what took a long time, effort and resources to build. I am highly concerned with the fact that Director Foster states that she will do what she can, but she does not appear to have the resources. So I think the question again here is, how do we provide the resources? I think it's larger than one director. I think it's larger than one chairmanship, and I certainly think it's larger than one committee. So this is an opportunity for us to lead, for us to move in a direction, but I think it does take each and every one of our voices, and it is going to take more time, and it is going to take more effort. Coming to the table and all of us becoming aware directly from public health director and perhaps even staff as to what their issues are and concerns are, and having a very, very open-ended conversation without the fear of any retribution is very important. I stood before the board not as a member but as a constituent 10 years ago and talked against the removal of half of the health department staff, which a lot of services were moved to accredited centers. And one of my statements, if I remember correctly, was alluding to the fact that if there were such an emergency, we would need more man and woman power. And so we find ourselves here. And I think we have to come to the table, all of us, and we have to have a very open conversation, and we have to engage other leadership outside of the county, our state representatives. Each of us has good relationships with people outside of the committees that we sit on ourselves. So this is a time to convene and have a really good conversation and rebuild, because again, it's larger than just one committee and one individual. Thank you for your time.
Yes, Mr. Martin.
You know, as I see things put in a line, this board has voted to keep this facility open. Our health department's task at that decision having been made and open through the end of January and then subject to renegotiation. Our health department's task at that point in time was to figure out how to do it or announce to us what problems they had in achieving that. At least as a board member, I am not on the health committee, so I can't respond to what the committee may have heard. I'm not aware of any request from the health department that came to this board for additional staff, for additional Rescue Act funds, or anything else. And it's great to talk about philosophical issues about what we ought to do, but the practical fact is, and I think, I forgot who made what points anymore, but I think it was you that said, if you need a boiler, ask for a boiler. Well, if the health department needed more personnel, somebody should have been here asking us for more personnel. I do not intend to become the board to become the de facto health department. That's why we have a health department, and we're supposed to address the finances and the leadership, but I don't want to sit, I'm not going to sit and participate in making decisions on where we go to make phone calls and everything else. That's why we have department heads to do those type of things. So I think we need to keep it open. If the health department needs assistance, then the health department should articulate what it is they need so that we can address those concerns.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Leonard speaking. You know, I'm not sure, and maybe Ms. Foster could answer this question, but for the fiscal year 21, did you have excess funds available? And if you did, we as a board, I think, should apply those funds to help with staffing to keep the vaccine center open. I don't think it would be a tremendous amount of additional money. It can be done on a part-time basis, and I think there is money there to fund it. So I'd like to ask Ms. Foster, did you have excess funds available at the end of 21?
Hi, this is Kathy Foster. So the issue isn't the money, it's finding the labor That is what we're having trouble with. We have reached out to many resources and we just have people that don't want to work. So, and it just could be because it's the holidays. We can try to keep doing it. And like I said, we've reached out to IEMA. I mean, we've become desperate. So I feel like we're begging whoever we could get to help us. Our MRC, they've been wonderful and they're trying to help. So it's just a matter of, it's not really the money, it's just getting the labor, and we're in competition with other places. So, yeah, so that's where we're at. We just have to get the labor. We have to get, and we need the vaccinators.
Ms. Foster, one other question then. How many people do you need and how many hours a week would that require them to work?
Okay, so that would vary based on the amount that we would have. And so I have those details and I'd be happy to share them with whoever needs them, the resources that we would need going forward if we were to continue doing this. So, so I do have all those details that I'd be happy to share.
Could you either share that right now with the whole board or email all the board members, including Madam Chair, so that we're aware of specifically what you need?
Okay, yes, most definitely. I have 3 pages for them. And just another thing is, I know that it was mentioned that, you know, we have other, one other option that we have that's been very helpful is IDPH contracts out to contractors. And see, that's who I think we're in competition with too, quite honestly. So these contractors go out to the different schools. Like for instance, last week, in the Elgin area, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we had 8 schools that they went out to do special vaccinations. So they basically vaccinated like 500 kids in different schools, and this was contracted out through IDPH. So IDPH is taking contractors that we could use, but they're hired by another company through IDPH. So we're like in competition with other people that are helping vaccinate. So, but I will definitely get out this information because it's 3 pages long, and you know, but
Don't know IDPH.
Illinois Department of Health, Illinois Department of Public Health. Sorry.
Right. So thank you.
Copy, please.
Yes, Mr. Copey.
Copy,
And then
please.
I think and this will be the last comment. Oh, Mr. Copey, hold on.
Sure.
Thank you.
One more.
Louis, since Ms. Foster actually has her needs assessment done and is going to forward to us, I think that's wonderful. And I think that next Wednesday, Public Health will meet. And so I think we can have a deeper discussion on this then. I would love to keep the VAC site open. But since it's already gone out, people are not probably going to line up tomorrow and Saturday, knowing that it's closing. I was also hoping that maybe by next Wednesday, and I don't know if Ms. Foster's the right person, but maybe we could contact the other sources, the VNA and all those, and say, hey, are you guys having these same issues? Are there people that maybe, you know, maybe we could pool our resources with the people that are at some of these other sites are doing a lot of vaccinations, you know.
And that suggestion was made at that meeting that we talked about to work with our local partners.
Right.
All right, Mr. Copey,
Copey.
last comments.
Thank you, ma'am. Sorry to prolong. Mrs. Foster's testimony is critical in that it sort of is proof in the pudding of where the problem really lies. And I was curious, is there enough resource or morale to go another 90 days? Can you get another 90 days? That's the question.
I believe we will find out from Ms. Foster, if please correct me if I'm wrong, Kathy. When we have the discussion at the Public Health Committee, you'll be able to share that information with us?
Point of order, the motion, I believe, only addressed through the end of
January. Correct.
And Madam Chair, if I may, again, I believe that because this was not an agenda item that was put out at this time, the only thing that can happen as a part of
Consensus.
Mr. Shepherd's motion is a consensus.
Mhm.
There is the possibility that this board could then set either a special board meeting, which has to have 5 days notice regarding this, or an emergency board meeting, which can be held as soon as practicable. With that being said, then the court can take formal action. This consensus would then be in the form of an opinion and not in regards to anything formally binding.
Very good.
Madam Chair, Shepro, question for the state's attorney. What is your definition of what constitutes an emergency?
So this is a pandemic and we have that, but I believe you'd have to still put out that notice for an emergency meeting and have it as soon as practical. What you're doing right now, though, is calling a vote as a part of an emergency as opposed to having a meeting for this.
All right, so let's keep things easy. We have a meeting on, and none of this discussion has been easy. We're going to have a public health meeting next week. This can be further discussed and dialogue can occur. I invite you all to come to participate in this. If we feel in the meanwhile that we need to have an emergency order, an emergency meeting, we can have it directly after the Public Health Committee meeting to ensure that we encourage Public Health Committee and Kathy Foster to have the mass vac site open fully, whatever that means, until the end of January. And during that period of time, they'll be able to review. We'll see how we are with the pandemic. We'll check numbers. And we can make another decision at a later date in January to see if that will continue on through February, March, April, and May. Is that an agreement? Are we all on the same page? Yes, yeah.
Frost speaking, could we just ask Ms. Foster to acknowledge that she understands that it is the consensus of this board to at least using Mr. Shepro's motion as a guideline that she move forward with, all the efforts possible immediately to start making this happen.
Ms. Foster?
Yes, yes, I will work with my staff to see what we can come up with. We have been doing Wednesdays and Saturdays is what we've been doing through the week and the weekends. So that's what we will try to mimic. So that means we're looking at January 8th and then on through the end. So that it looks like that would be January 29th would be the last one, if that is agreeable.
Who knows? It gets us further down the road. Sorry, Davis speaking. I can just encourage that you communicate all of this to the county board office so that it can be disseminated to all of us here, because what I'm hearing here in this room is a strong consensus that, we have to meet this head on. I hear talk about, energy and morale and, people are tired and, Jim Valvano, right? Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
And no, we're
We
absolutely
can't stop now.
not
The virus
giving up.
isn't done with us. So share all of your ideas with the county board office. Let them share that information with us, and let's help you find the help that you need, whether it's through the end of January or beyond. I don't know yet, but it needs to go further than it is right now. So don't give up.
No, we're not. And I just want to let you know that our staff they've been awesome. And like I said, there is no give up. Last week, it was looking a little hopeless. We were having troubles getting the vaccine. I mean, we had to drive up to McHenry to get more vaccine so we'd have enough. I mean, we're offering all the vaccines and they're all different and they all have to be, our staff has to be very careful how they're mixed, that we don't accidentally give someone the wrong vaccine. We're offering them all, which, you know, that is a juggling act in itself, but I'm proud of all that we've accomplished and we continue to accomplish. And I appreciate all the support that you've all shown for us. So thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
May I-
It's almost 11:15. I think we have reached consensus
May I
on this.
offer a motion?
Well, I think we had the motion and we have a consensus, correct?
Well, I don't think we've resolved that. May I speak to that briefly?
Sure.
All right. I don't think there's any contention that my motion can't be made. It's a question of whether it could be acted upon. Therefore, I would like to move to postpone my motion to a special board meeting to be held, if necessary, at 9 o'clock on the date set for the next meeting of the Public Health Committee, with the earnest suggestion that the Health Department be prepared to report within that 7 days whether or not they are able to meet what the motion is requesting.
And the date of that meeting is,
Have 10 o'clock,
Have it after.
10 o'clock.
Is it 10 o'clock? Okay,
The public health is at 9.
sorry.
So 10
at
o'clock.
10 o'clock. If necessary, but that way at least the motion remains in effect. And I think the consensus is clear from that.
and the date of that is the 22nd.
Correct.
22nd.
All right.
Madam Chair. Copy second.
Caius? Oh, sorry.
Yes, thank you,
Or
Mr.
read to the
Copey.
question. Was there a start date that we would start vaccinating? We're vaccinating now.
No,
Until
well,
tomorrow.
as of tomorrow, no. And Mr. Sanchez and Kathy can certainly make sure that my statements are accurate. According to the second press release, there'll be one date at the end of December, I think December 27th, 29th.
29th.
And then the last day will be on the 5th for pediatric only. So as of tomorrow, no more vaccinations will be given. And that's my understanding. And then on those other 2 days that I just talked about, only second shots for the pediatric patients will be administered.
Are we asking her to improve that, improve on that performance with our motion to?
What
to
we're
just vote?
asking, we're asking her to extend from the 8th or the 5th, I'm sorry, January 5th, to open it up on the 8th and continue operation on a Wednesday and a Saturday throughout the month of January.
Okay.
January 29th is the last Saturday, obviously, in January.
Thank you.
I don't know about January 8th.
I think the motion I made to postpone was moved and seconded by Mr. Copey.
And do we need to have a voice vote or voice vote? Please,
Roll call.
please call the roll on that. Everyone understands what you're voting on?
Repeat the motion,
We
please.
legally voting again.
I'll try. Shepherd moved to postpone his earlier motion to a special board meeting, if necessary, for 10 o'clock on December 22nd. What's that? December 22nd, 2021, with the health department to be prepared to address the motion.
The original
Motion.
request for reinstatement of the activities of the Batavia Vaccination Center.
Okay. Everybody have it? Please call the roll.
Can we do that?
Ellen?
Ellen, aye.
Okay. 1 second. Okay. Bates?
Bates, aye.
Berman?
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Raz,
Raz, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Opie,
Copy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Steffi, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Winnicke.
Yes.
It
The
passes.
motion passes. All right, let's go on to,
Oh, wait, there's more?
Tomorrow's Christmas.
only for you, sir.
Sorry,
Only for you.
slipped out.
All right. We now have, I think, the most interesting part of our meeting. I'd like to thank, first of all, for your patience in allowing us to have a in-depth conversation. So now I'd like to have the recognition of Steve Wells. And that is going to be done by Representative Stephanie Kifowit and Jake Zimmerman. Yes, please come here.
It's my local government day.
Yeah.
Not much though.
Well, good morning. So the Illinois Association of County Veterans Assistance Commissions this year, for the first time, began issuing awards to those in the community throughout the state of Illinois for efforts in improving the welfare of veterans. So it was no surprise to me when we did this in Peoria back in September that two of those awards went to folks who represented Kane County. The first being Stephen Wells, Veteran Service Officer of the Year. Representative Kifowit, you want to?
Thank you. So I just wanted to echo the sentiment from the Veterans Assistance Commission on the outstanding job that Steve Wells has done. He received the Steve Barrett Veteran Service Officer of the Year. Steve Barrett was a good friend of mine and many in the veterans community who lost a battle way too young, and we lost him way, way too young. And there is no higher honor in my heart and my soul than being given an award named on behalf of Steve Barrett for all the for a great job that's done for our veteran community and to do so much for so many. So it is a humble opportunity that I am before you today, and thank you for your indulgence to recognize Stephen Wells in recognition of receiving the Steve Barrett Veteran Service Officer of the Year Award presented by the Illinois Association of County Veterans Assistance Commission, and joins in the commemoration of the effort, dedication, and hard work that led to the success, and further expresses its best wishes for personal happiness and professional achievement, signed by the new Speaker of the House, Emmanuel Chris Welch, and John Holman, Clerk of the House.
Steve has been an employee of the Veterans Assistance Commission of Kane County since 2007. And then also at that same meeting, we honored the Legislator of the Year, who is the House Veteran Affairs Committee Chair, Representative Stephanie Kifowit.
Thank you, members of the board. And again, thank you to King County for all you do for our veterans. We work very hard on the state, and we can't do it without the collaboration of the counties. So thank you all very much as well.
And we have two modest gifts, but I think very enjoyable gifts for both of you.
Better to get a candy apple than a plaque. Hey, Steve, congratulations.
And Mr. Wells, as you're leaving, sir, we have another gift for you that is going to be coming forward. It's because of pandemic, things take a little bit longer. So we're going to be giving you your flag. It's on the way. Maybe in St. Louis, we don't know. Okay, very good. The next presentation is going to be the annual presentations for the RTA, Metra, and PACE. So let's start with the RTA.
That's a hard act to follow, but I think this is an important topic as well. I'm Chris Groban. Good morning, Madam Chair and the board. I have the honor of representing Kane County on the RTA board. And so wanted to start this morning just by commending Leanne Redden and her team at the RTA, my fellow board members. You'll see some leadership here from the other service boards as well. And in fact, all the transit workers that kept things working through this very challenging year. I'll be quick. Next we'll have Leanne kind of walk you through some of the details for the 2022 operating budget and the 5-year capital plan, critical for our system. And while we've had a precipitous fall in ridership this last year or last 2 years, I still believe that our transit system is critical to this region, particularly to get us through continue with the COVID recovery. We've got a couple of, I was just going to list a couple of the projects that we're going to have funded here in Kane County. Next year, there would be construction starting on the Aurora Transportation Center, some improvements there, as well as some planning support for Elburn around a transit-oriented development. So we've got some tangible things happening here, sponsored by RTA. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Leanne. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. And I want to thank you as the board for giving us Chris as our Kane County representative. He's a pleasure to work with and really represents the interests of Kane County very well. So thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. I will be brief. And we, as required by law, we have to come and present to you the budget. I know you've got a lot on your agenda as well. And when I talked with you last year, I know it was virtual, and I certainly all think we hoped that by this time this year, we'd be all fully back in person, but the conversation just preceding us indicates how challenging the situation is for all of us. But it really has become clear that sort of a new normal is going to be longer in coming than we had perhaps sort of thought about this time last year. And it's going to take a while for the new normal to settle in. The RTA, though, is proud to report that throughout this universally disruptive pandemic, CTA, Metra, and PACE, known to us as our service boards, have, through their staff, provided reliable transit service across the entire region that really was able to respond to dramatically shifting customer needs and really innovated within the system to really create a culture of COVID prevention. The system there was to meet the needs of those who needed public transit the most, and really those who it is a necessity. And that includes our elderly, essential workers, communities of color, and people experiencing low incomes. So we must commit as a regional community to continuing to support the transit system across our entire region for all those people who ride it now and will continue to come back as we recover from the pandemic. And that challenge, despite some of that is going to be a big challenge for all of us, despite some of the near-term stability from the federal relief dollars. Overall, the 22 budget for the entire region that includes the 3 service board operators totals $3.4 billion, with an increase of 6.4% over the financial plan for 2022 pre-COVID budgets. The 6-county system proposed 5-year capital program totals $5.3 billion, which is a little bit less than the previous 5-year rolling capital program, simply because the last of the Rebuild Illinois dollars were programmed in this year. And the service boards have been able to keep advancing on the capital projects. On November 18, all three service boards came to the RTA and presented their budgets in detail. We subsequently hosted a public hearing that was well attended with a lot of input from the public, which is actually a little unusual, which was good to have that input and comment. And coming up this Thursday will be when our board looks to approve the budget. The budget subsequent from the service boards presenting to us has been out for public comment. All the details are available on not just our RTA website, but also the three service board websites as well. And we are still receiving public comment to date, and all of that will be summarized before the board. Over the past 2 years, though, I would like to note that the RTA has worked diligently to distribute also approximately $3.4 billion in the federal relief funds to the three operators. That has really allowed them to fill the gap and make them whole in terms of operating revenues to allow them to keep their systems running. Metra will be receiving just over $1 billion of that relief money for this region, and PACE will be receiving just shy of about $750 million in terms of relief dollars. And that funding is allowing them to get back to their pre-pandemic funding needs at levels to meet their needs. Additionally, all of this work really has grown out of the COVID recovery planning that we have been doing since basically the day one of the pandemic. And it has really allowed the service boards to get through this great time of uncertainty. We've accomplished our earlier steps of budgeting transparently, dealing with the budget and service cuts and operational adjustments over the previous years in a very public way, transparent way, and really with the three operators with us working in common purpose as well. We've now embarked on our final step of our recovery effort, and that is focusing on a new strategic plan for the next 5 years. It is a 5-year plan, but we're also going to be incorporating a robust 10-year financial outlook, which is really required not by law per se, but by stewardship. So we can actually start to plan for the future in a appropriate way. The timing couldn't be better also given last month's historic passing of the federal infrastructure bill, which will give us a better ability to meet the biggest challenges before us. And I'm heartened to say that because of the federal government, the work that they have done, they could have really looked at the ridership that is still down approximately 40% and sort of chosen to walk away from public transportation nationwide. But instead, they essentially doubled down and recognized the role, the value, and the importance of public transportation in this nation. And those dollars, infusing those dollars into our transit system is going to be critical. And we're going to anticipate seeing more than $1 billion every year over the next $1 billion over the next 5 years of that infrastructure bill. So that will be present us some opportunities, but also ultimately that money will run out. So as we look to plan transparently and collaboratively on the next 5 years out, we'll continue to engage with you, the civic organizations around the region, to get that input as we look to those opportunities for the future. The timeline on the strategic work will be remaining and running through all of 22 with a plan to come before the RTA board in January 2023. We will look forward to your continued engagement. I encourage, if you haven't already signed up for opportunities to understand where our engagement opportunities will be, you can sign up at the RTA website. I know we share information with county board staff very regularly as well. I just want to conclude by saying that it really is a time for remembering and acting on why our regional public transit system exists and for whom it serves. For asking who needs transit and how they use it, and how this is an irreplaceable mobility option and system that contributes economically, environmentally, and enables opportunities in a way that no other service or operation at a scale that nothing else really can. So this is a time for bold thinking and bold decision-making as we go forward into the next year. And I look forward to your continued support and engagement. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know the other two service boards are behind me, and they will discuss in more detail the specifics of their individual budgets.
Are there any questions? No. Thank you so much, and for your continued hard work and efforts on behalf of the transportation needs in the Chicago metropolitan area and Chicago. We'll keep it up, please.
Thank you.
The next presentation will be by Metra with Mr. McMahon. Welcome.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Thank you for inviting us to present Metra's 2022 budget to the Kane County Board. I'm your appointee to the Metra Board of Directors. I'm joined this morning by Dimitri Skofis from Metra, who is the Vice President and Director of Government Affairs. Metra is the largest commuter railroad in the nation based on miles of track, and one of the largest based on ridership. Our primary mission is to provide safe, reliable, and efficient commuter rail service in the Northeast Illinois region. The Metra service area encompasses six county region of Northeastern Illinois and more than 3,700 square miles of track. Metra originally presented its proposed budget in October at our board meeting. I then presented our proposed budget to your Kane County Transportation Committee in October. We posted that for public comment here in Kane County. I attended that public comment session with Dimitri Skofis and other members of Metra and staff from your transportation department. We then followed that procedure in the other 6 county region as well, and Metra passed its budget in November of this year. There are no changes to the budget that we passed from the budget that was originally presented to your transportation committee. We approved a $900 million operating budget for 2022 and a $263 million capital budget. There is no fare increase for riders. To attract additional riders and incentivize riders to return to public transportation, we have developed a new modified day pass for ridership within a few zones of each other at a really low $6 rate, but also a $10 day pass for unlimited rides across all 10 zones, across all 11 lines of the Metra service area. The $900 million budget that we passed assumes our agency will begin 2022 with ridership at about 25% of pre-pandemic levels and grow ridership throughout the year to about 35 to 40% of pre-pandemic levels. The budget uses $458 million, $458.8 million in revenues from the RTA and sales tax, and $202 million in next fiscal year in federal COVID relief funding. Our budget for 2022 is 16% higher than it was in 2021. Our budget in 2021 was approximately $773 million. And the increase is mostly attributable to the planned restoration of services to levels at or near the pre-pandemic levels across all 11 lines. Currently, our service is at about 80% of what it was pre-pandemic, though that varies by line. Inflationary and contractual costs, including healthcare, utilities, insurance, are also contributing factors in that increase in our budget from 2021 to 2022. Our capital budget of nearly $263 million for next year reflects a significant investment in rail cars, locomotives, bridges, and train stations based on what is a multi-billion-dollar backlog of state of good repairs of equipment and infrastructure across all 11 lines. Here in Kane County, the Union Pacific has bid the extension of a third line between West Chicago and Peck that will hopefully alleviate delays and schedule changes as a result of freight traffic, which has priority over the lines that run through here in Kane County. In October, some of the things that we're doing to look forward. In October, our board issued a RFP for alternative fuel locomotives in an effort to explore non-diesel fuel engines. Commuter rail systems in other parts of the world have been successful in adopting some of these new technologies to power short distance and smaller trains within a particular line. And both the staff at Metra and the board are committed to exploring those alternative fuel sources that improve both efficiency and reduce the environmental impact of diesel-fueled locomotive engines on our local environment. Metra also has an advisory board. In the last couple of months, Matt Hansen, a former member of this board, has been appointed to that volunteer advisory board as Kane County's designee. That completes my report. Appreciate the minutes you've given me, and it's great to be back. I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Yes, Mr. Franz.
I guess this is just a comment, but I'd like to thank Metra for hosting a few of us. Deputy Director of Transportation Rickert and Madam Chairman and myself got a tour of several facilities in the city, and Mr. McMahon attended. But the one thing that I remember the most was in effort to save money, they gave us a tour of their rebuilding facility, which rebuilds not only their own locomotives internally, but the passenger commuter cars. And believe it or not, one of those cars cost $3 million, brand new. And for them to have one remanufactured by an outside contractor was 1.5 million. And they're doing it internally for 750,000. So it was pretty cool to see. And they're created a lot of jobs in the process of saving a lot of money. So thanks a lot for the tour.
Thank you, Mr. Frost.
It was truly one of my highlights to be pretending I was driving a train through Union Station. Was quite thrilling indeed. Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Brown speaking. Joe, did you say that you've already bid out that third line extension? And I believe that's what you said. And if so, could you tell us when it's expected to start?
So UP did bid the line. I don't know the exact date that they issued the bid, but that bid has been put out. Their estimate is springtime, but that will be driven by kind of contract negotiations and kind of works schedule of the contractor.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Thank you very much, Mr. Dimitri. Happy holidays. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Mr. Shelkey, Mayor Shelkey, please. Pace bus.
Thank you. I'll try again to be very brief because I know you guys are under a time constraint. I'm pleased to report that despite the pandemic and all the reductions that really drove our ridership down at the beginning, I'm here tonight or today to announce that we have a balanced and fully funded operational budget. We have a robust capital plan that we are about to introduce, and we are not going to have any fare increases this year. So right now, our ridership is returned to about 65% of what it was previously. So we are continuing to have some new riders. Now, there's some changes in bus riding in our area that I think you probably all recognize, but I want to publicly acknowledge them. One is that the old ideas of the fixed route where you ran the bus from Elgin to Aurora and back and forth, that may be kind of slowly disappearing. And what we are now seeing as we are putting together, and we're going to have a significant increase in this in the coming years, is the call and ride and the dial ride and bus programs where people call us and say, I need to go at a certain time. And so the pandemic offered us one opportunity that really kind of showed us what we could do. And that was when we introduced, you folks introduced the 3 vaccination locations in Kane County in Aurora, Elgin, and Batavia. The county board chairwoman and myself had some conversations about we needed to get a bunch of people to these locations. And Pace stepped up and we came up with a bunch of small buses that we then began to offer. And right away we had church groups and we had women's clubs and we had a lot of the senior citizen living communities in the county come forth and say, yeah, we'd like to take 20 people on Sunday or on Monday to X location in the county. And we did that. And we got a lot of people vaccinated because we had this bus ability to do it. And so I think that is a program that we are studying with great interest because we think that we can operate and begin to offer that in a variety of other ideas going forth. The other thing is that the board has been approached at every one of our meetings now by folks who want us to electrify all of our buses. Now, we have committed as a board to do that, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a number of years because we have a huge bus fleet that we operate, and to take all those and do it immediately would be cost prohibitive. But we have committed that we will be doing that. And one of the things we're going to need to do in Kane County is that we're probably going to have to expand both of our bus facilities that we have. We have one in Elgin that we're about to add 3 more acres to, and they're going to have a special part of that building that's going to be for electrical conversions to take place. And we have one in North Aurora that kind of the same thing. We're looking to see what we can do down there. But those are the things that we're kind of looking forward to doing. The biggest thing is that we are Kane County, you folks have made the decision through the Kane County Department of Transportation that we are going to offer the dial-a-ride service to all areas of Kane County. Previously, it's only gone to those parts of the county which have a government, specifically in most instances, the township or the city would step forward and say, we'll participate with PACE in doing this. There's a few parts of Kane County that don't have that. And now through the leadership of the Kane County Department of Transportation, it's going to be available countywide. And I'm pleased to report that because of the county's participation in it and the staff of professionalism, and I want to say that you folks have one of the best public transportation departments in the region with your folks you got here. You got some folks that really know what the deal is all about and really perform in the very highest way. And as many of you know, I serve as chairman of the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning's Council of Mayors, which is the whole region. And so I get to see in all these other folks from all these other counties. And I'm very proud of what I'm there with Kane County, because we are looked upon as some of the really stellar leaders in the group. But because of that, PACE is going to be giving the Kane County Division of Transportation a $200,000 grant this year to begin to implement this whole thing on a countywide basis. So I'm very, very pleased with the progress we're making. The other thing I guess I'd want to talk about just very quickly, I'm joined by Martin Sandoval, who's on the PACE staff, and he's kind of the Kane County go-to guy if any of you have any questions directly of PACE, if you can't get a hold of me. But one of the things that I will tell you that I know you're familiar with is we have this bus on the shoulder program, which we now have on I-90, and it goes from Rosemont out to Elgin. And right now, the tollway is working with PACE, and they are going to be putting the bus on the shoulder on 294. That's what's under construction now. And the big one that's laying out there that we're continuing to work with the tollway to help push it along is the bus on the shoulder on I-88 for Southern Kane County. And we think that that could be a major force of transportation, as we are seeing in the northern part of Kane County, because we're very pleased with the ridership we get out of the northern end of the county. And so we will keep that one in focus. That will be a priority of ourselves to get that Aurora, I'll call it the Aurora connection, probably going out to 47 in Sugar Grove and then coming back in. And, you know, then when you get on the Elgin one, we take you into Rosemont, and then you get transfer over and go down on the RTA or the CTA into Chicago. On I-88, you go to River Forest at Des Plaines Avenue, and you'd get off there and get on the CTA and go to downtown Chicago. And so that's the plan. It's a couple of years away yet, but we are working with the tollway to get that one out too. So we constantly have ourselves, I think, in motion here, trying to do things that will improve the area. And I'm very honored to be a member of the PACE board, because there has been a lot of progressive things done over the last few years to really make transportation adaptive to what we have as a society today. And as I think the pandemic has clearly shown us, there are certain needs for transportation, as we found in all these needs to go to get all these folks to the vaccination locations, that we can stand up and provide. And I thank the chairman or chairwoman for her support in this, because she was very integral in helping me push this thing through PACE staff. And so we're moving forward. And if anybody has any questions or comments, I'd be certainly happy to try to entertain them.
Yes, Mr. Iqbal.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I like what you're doing. Is you've a lot of hard work, There are two buses particularly I like and I ride on them every time I have to go to Chicago or to O'Hare, 603 and 605.
Mhm.
There's another big connection to Crystal Lake and to Schaumburg. The only thing that I have to say is there's not much advertising for them. And the ridership is low even before COVID. So if you want to, if you ask me some ideas, I can offer you some ideas.
Appreciate that thought.
Yeah, so we have to put the billboard, one on Randall and 25 and downtown Elgin, because this is a great service that you're offering, and they are running almost empty.
Okay. I think one of the things certainly we're trying to do along those lines is we are going to start a partnership up with Uber and Lyft too. So that if you want to, one person needs to take a specific ride to a doctor or whatever have you, we can put them in an Uber and they can take him to some place. We have some interesting things because we have to supposed to operate within the RTA service area, which is Kane County is all of it, but Kendall County is not in the RTA. So that creates some stumbling issues. But more recently, we've had people say that they need a ride to Rockford. And so that's a whole different story we have to try to answer, but that would be answerable by using Uber, and they'd probably have to pay a little bit more money, but we could get them to Rockford. So we're going to be doing some more advertising. I appreciate it, but I think that is a lot of people don't realize how good we can make it, but it is working. We've just, these, as you know, these are all services we've just started in the last 5-6 years as far as the bus on the shoulder and that coming into Kane County. So I'm pleased by the success we've already had.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah. Mr.
Chair.
Kraus.
Thank you, Caius. It's great to see you. Always, your presentations are always great to listen to. You're very clear and concise, and I'm happy with what you're doing with PACE especially. Will you say that you're satisfied with the ridership on the shoulder ride?
Well, it could be better, and we were just really bringing it up, and then we got hit by the COVID, because as you know, that hasn't been there all that long, and that took us down, but it's starting to again show us to come up, because when you get to, one of the things we're finding in Kane County is that service that you can get in Elgin to go into on the shoulder, that takes you to Rosemont, and when you get to Rosemont, you get on the other CTA train and go downtown, or you can take the shuttle into O'Hare Airport. So we're now finding there's a number of people from Kane County go to Elgin with their luggage, get on the bus on the shoulder, go into Rosemont, get off, get on the shuttle. And I had one from my town tell me, well, I went to Elgin, it cost me $2.25 to go from Elgin to Rosemont, but once I got to Rosemont, it was only 50 cents to get to the shuttle. So I got to the O'Hare Airport for $2.75. The last time I used a Lyft or called for a limo to come and get me, it was $85.
Yeah.
So it's a major shift in how much money it costs you to get someplace.
And just round numbers, you're satisfied with it. What are we talking per month, per year ridership on that? You know?
You know what, Marty?
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Well, we are going to have, that's one of the things we're going to be building right now is part of the Elgin expansion of the bus station. There, we're going to have, but you're talking about charging stations that where you park your car to get on the bus? Buses, yeah, we're going to have to do that. That's all part of the whole situation. That's for the bus, as you can appreciate, that's not a cheap move to reconvert a bus into an electric vehicle. And the newer buses we're going to be ordering will all be electric. So we just have to work with some of them that we're going to phase out, but.
Well, seeing none, I would like to personally thank you for the dial ride. And Mayor Shelkey, that is a phenomenal new opportunity that anybody who's been advocating for senior services and transportation is welcome to the western part of Kane County. So you can go from one township or one municipality effortlessly. So transportation is available. And again, personally, thank you for your advocating for the backside and allowing Pace Bus to transport those individuals who choose to get vaccinated and waiting there waiting there and taking them back to the place they picked them up. What a wonderful service you're providing for our residents. So again, a hearty thank you.
Let me just say, as a citizen and a public official, I sat here and listened to your debate today with great interest. And it was very interesting to hear. And, I was very impressed by the legal conceptions you were constantly giving. I know many times in government, you feel frustration that you don't quickly get things done. But you have to walk out of here, and I walk out of here today thinking, this is a government that's working. It really is serious about itself. It's looking out for itself. It's asking the questions. It's seeking sound legal advice. And we're not running this thing helter-skelter here. We're running this in a very proper way that all the citizens of Kane County should be very, very proud of what this government is doing. So thank you and all those on your staff. As I said, I got a lot of admiration for the Kane County Department of Transportation. They are phenomenal as I compare them to others in the region. And just what I've seen here today, as chairman of the Kane County Council of Mayors, I can go back and report to my other group, but the level below you, county board's working, and they're a good group, and they're thinking and they're trying hard to do the right thing. So it's good in this day and age when you hear all the skepticism on the TV about what is and was not working at the state and federal level, that at this level, we're trying hard to do the right thing here. So
Very good. No, thank you. Happy holidays.
thank you.
That concludes the presentation. So now it's time for an introduction. The board graciously supported a brand new position here for the county, directly with the board, the public information officer. It took us a long time to find the right candidate for that. And I'm happy now and proud to introduce what I think is going to be an effective, certainly intelligent, hardworking individual who is going to develop our very first public information department, should we say, a department right now of one, but nonetheless a powerful department. Julie Mann, and welcome, please. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, and thank you very much for this opportunity. I couldn't echo what Mayor Shelkey had to say more on why this position is really important, because it is the ground level where things are working and that story needs to be told. And I'm really privileged to have the opportunity to tell those stories. You may know me from WBBM News Radio. I left that job after 25 years on Friday, and I showed up here for work on Monday. And she threw me into two meetings, and yep, I'm ready to go. So looking forward to meeting all of you, and thank you again very much.
And your contact, before we let you go, you have email and contact information, which I think is all settled now. So we'll make sure we get that out to the board so that you can reach out to her. I know that transportation, I saw them the other day, and they're waiting to talk to you. And I think all our departments are waiting to talk to you. So welcome aboard. I promise you, you will not be bored.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
And Julie comes from this area. She went to Wasco Elementary School. She is a graduate of St. Charles High School. I think before it was East. Is that correct? She currently resides in Geneva. And she is anecdotally, she and our chief judge were classmates. So she has a long history. Kane County worked in Chicago for a number of years.
And my husband is Pat Jager with the state's attorney's office. He's standing back there.
Thought you had a stalk.
And also, I happen to know her mother, which was a former neighbor. So there's, I can't tell you, accidental synergy that has come through. So welcome, Julie. We will work you hard and you'll enjoy it, I hope. So the next one, I know that there was conversation that you all wished to, and I certainly support that, to be able to see something and study it before you choose to vote on it. So at this point, I'd like to do a presentation that is going to be amending the ordinance section 2-48 of the Kane County Code. It's a development of a new standing committee called the Community Investment Committee. The reason for this, and I have talked to a number of board members, I may not have reached out to all of you, but I've had discussion with many of you. The American Rescue Plan Committee currently now is an ad hoc committee. As an ad hoc committee, it does not sit on the executive board. Now, my interpretation of an ad hoc committee is something that has a short time frame, whether it's 6 months or a year, very much like the CARE Act committee, it is defined. But this committee is unique because of the funding stream that's coming through it. This committee can last for up to 6 years, perhaps 7 years by the time it's done. We're also have the potential to have significant other money coming in from the federal government. State's Attorney Mosser mentioned that there may be an opioid settlement that'll be coming through, probably 23, I'm thinking. Significant money will be coming through that. We're also looking at perhaps if the Build Back Better bill gets passed through Congress, there'll be additional money coming through that as well. And there is no place, a centralized committee to define what that looks like. There is also no centralized place to be able to talk about issues that face our communities. Now, you heard me rant a little bit at the early part of this meeting about the need for our homeless, our need for our seniors, our look at our food pantries. This committee will allow to have that discussion, and that with every money that would be available, then would be sorted out to the appropriate committee, and that department then would work on those projects. It would also be able to allow a focus of what the current needs are for Kane County. Now, I talked to Mr. Cayos, and he had a meeting with Mr. Sanchez about senior services. And he asked me, will senior services be part of this conversation, part of this committee? And I said, absolutely. And as we have a growing age of seniors in our Kane County, population demographics are changing. Absolutely, this would be a great vehicle to have that discussion and to find out what those needs are and to be able to, again, address those accordingly and move those along. So I asked Mr. Shepro 3 months ago, takes some time, business goes slow, to draft this change in the ordinance. He completed it yesterday, and I'm presenting it to you today. Just lie on the table. You have, I believe everyone has gotten a draft of it. And I'm going to turn it over very quickly to Mr. Shepard, who just can explain what we're looking at. I've already, through conversations I've had recently, I believe with Ms. Bates, was a wonderful suggestion, as well as with Ms. Gumbs on how to change the leadership. So I also have a suggestion that's going to be on here. So this is an opportunity for you to review, to reflect, to talk amongst yourselves, to take a look at this and see if you are in agreement that you would like to move, particularly now, the ARP committee, American Rescue Plan Committee, to a fully functioning standing committee, very much like the Jobs and Agricultural Committee, will have a voice on the executive board for future decisions instead of just keeping it as an ad hoc committee. So, Mr. Shepard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, mic was on. This is something that actually I have thought about for a long time before I became on this board, when I was the attorney for the board, and now, which is that there just seems to be these plethora of ad hoc and special committees that pop up. And to my mind, the whole notion of the special committees is that they are for a very limited purpose of a very short duration to address a particular need. And in effect, the lineage of the ARPA committee really goes back to the CARES Act. And it is clear that there are ongoing issues. Sometimes the funding sources change, but the mission seems to be the same. So let me first comment that what this ordinance is not intended to do, right? This is, it is not designed to deal with particular personnel or committee members. It is to provide a structure where what I feel should be a permanent committee, standing committee of the board. And we obviously within the past few years have added committees. Energy and environment was one, jobs are that were in addition to the ones that I remember from 20 years ago. The Kane County Code does have specific provisions that limit our ability to just willy-nilly make changes. And that's referred to, if you look at the draft of or the actual ordinance as we have filed it, section 2-52 of our county code specifically says that any amendment to the rules of order, including standing committees, shall not be voted upon on the day of introduction, but shall lie over to another meeting in the future. And so this was passed out today with the intention that this would be what they would call in Springfield a first reading. And I think in Springfield, they don't actually read it. And so I'm not going to. That's the intent of this. And to get that ball rolling, what I would like to do is to make a motion that this ordinance, which I am asking the board to approve, that it then be given its first reading and lie over to the January 11th meeting of the board for further discussion and action, and ask for a second for that motion.
Brown will second.
Mr. Brown. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Brown.
would this go to
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
committee of the whole, I mean, not committee of the whole, the executive board first and then to the full board?
I believe that it would.
Okay.
Yes.
Does this have to come from some standing committee?
No, because it's an amendment to the rules of order. And I believe that to the extent it is confined to a particular committee, it is the executive committee in any case. The county code is sort of unique if you've ever taken the time to look at it. So there are chapters that go into great deal and address a lot of topics, and then you might look elsewhere in it for what about this, and it's not there at all. But the beginning of the code addresses such things as the rules of order for this board to meet, the structure of committees, and section 2-48 for each standing committee has a section that defines what their jurisdiction is. And there's a narrative, and that is the portion that is in bold underlined is what would be the added description. And, you know, the state's attorney's office provided some input on some of the language, but the intent was to describe essentially what among other things, what the current ad hoc ARPA committee does, and simply make that into a permanent standing committee to ongoing addressing those issues. That answers your question.
Yes.
I'm sorry, did you say this was going to go to a Cal meeting, committee of the whole? Could we have it at a Cal meeting to have it?
I'm sorry.
Executive. It'll go to executive.
Cal presentation so we can understand this, and the ramifications? Is it complicated enough to do that?
I don't think so. I think if you feel that is the case, please, we'll
I
make
would
those
request it.
arrangements.
I would request it.
But have you read it? I mean, could we read it?
No.
What?
Well, we just got it, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying
Yeah,
before.
yeah, it
before you
was
make
not
that
the
suggestion.
intention to discuss it
Yeah,
today
it's not going to
because
be
it's
discussed at all.
any more than you have a debate in the General Assembly.
Right.
When a bill is introduced, it then goes on to the next step in the process.
And that, but
Certainly, you could add to that process. What I might suggest is that everybody will, I'm sure, immediately leave this meeting and read it in great detail. But if you don't, I think over the next 30 days, a discussion, all in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, would take place. And if there is a feeling at that point that a more detailed discussion is needed, then I think that would be an appropriate point to then consider a committee of the whole. I would say that my review, and I think the state's attorney's review of this entire section committees is that there are a lot of things that need to be cleaned up. For example, there's some confusing jurisdiction about which committee is responsible for maintenance of the
Judicial
correctional
center.
facility.
Mhm.
There are references to offices, I think the director of microfilm, the director of central services, which are offices which haven't existed for 20 years that need to be cleaned up. That we decided we're not going to address in this, but I think over the next month or two, in the vast amounts of spare time that the state's attorney clearly has, we will be working toward a general cleanup. There's also a reference in there to the Office of the Corporation Counsel, which is what municipalities have in place of a state's attorney in many cases. We've never had that office, but somehow it got into the code in 1982. These are not weighty issues, but they are things that create confusion, and which I think we feel maybe this is a good time to just clean up as much of that as possible. There are things about the rules of order for the committee, the provision that says everybody must stand while they are delivering their remarks. I think they wrote that before microphones were invented. Things and we will also, I think, at least I intend to invite anybody who thinks there are obsolete provisions that need fixing. But that's separate from this, but it's part of the same way that we have to go about changing a lot of our rules. And it's just the way that we operate. We operate under the Constitution, which very broadly says what counties are. The state statute known as the Counties Code, which you could find at 55 ILCS should you be bored any night. And that gives specific authority to the county board. And then the county board has also enacted the Kane County Code, which governs more detail on every level. And the last thing I'll say is that there's a principle in local government law called Dillon's Rule, which was named for the late Professor Dillon at the University of Iowa, that says that local governments have only those powers which are specifically granted to them by the legislature, and anything that might be necessarily implied from those specific grants, as opposed to a home rule unit, which may enact anything relating to its government and affairs, which is about as broad as you could possibly get. So Cook County is the only home rule county in Illinois because the Constitution says that. Other counties may elect to do that. Nobody's done it. So we have to act within the authority granted to us by the General Assembly. So I would earnestly commend this to everyone. I did put a lot of thought into it. It's true. I think I said 3 months ago I would get it done, and there hasn't been too much going on since then. So hopefully you'll read it, and over the next 30 days, we can decide
what other mechanism might be needed to explain it further.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Yes. Ms.
Yeah,
Bates. And-
from what I've read so far, I think it makes sense to have a standing committee for, so we don't have to start all over again every time.
We're not, yes. And there was a question from Mr. Sanchez asked me yesterday, will we start all over again? And I can assure you that all work that was done with the ARP committee will be, if you approve this, will simply be moved lock, stock, and barrel to this new committee. There'll be no new start. It'll be a continuation of, just with a different name. I think, Mr. Caius, did you have another comment?
Well, back on the committee of the whole, I am always amazed and grateful that, actually grateful that Mr. Shepherd was on our board because he's a wealth of information. I, on the other hand, am probably not the sharpest tool in the shed. And so I would request at this time that, barring that I get enlightened by studying it, that we do have it at a point, some point where we have a point of discussion other than the executive committee, as mentioned, the committee of the whole, so that we can be explained to us in detail what the, because I think it's great to do this. I think the unintended consequences worry me. And I want to make sure I understand all of that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think, Mr. Sanchez, you had a comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I say this almost tongue in cheek, but referring to Mr. Shepherd's suggestion that board members look at the county code and try and find things that they believe to be obsolete or that need updating. Perhaps we should form an ad hoc committee that does meet semi-regularly. Again, I say that almost tongue in cheek, but seriously as well, because I think it's an important concept that we should be exploring.
Oh, very good. Let's, if we can all agree, we can focus on section 2-48. And let's do 2-volume set. And we narrow it down and narrow down the approach so that our committees will be updated as appropriate. So do I
Call
don't
the
need
question on my motion.
call the question on the motion to
Introduce and postpone or give it its first reading, and I set it over to the executive committee agenda of January 11th the executive committee with a view toward placing it on the January county board agenda.
I second it.
second. I'm sorry, who's
think-
second?
Yeah, Brown seconded, all right.
Okay, very good.
I'll concur.
Very good.
Get off of
I think we're ready to call that vote. Please take the vote.
To be with January.
So to make clear, it's going to go on the executive committee and then to the January 11th
Yes.
board meeting.
Correct.
Okay. Ellen,
Ellen, I.
Bates,
Bates, aye.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Gopi,
Kobe, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis, Martin,
Martin, yes.
Nina,
Polina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Winnicky. Oh, she's not here. That passes.
Very good. She is not here. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Now the real reason we're all here today.
Yeah.
So I thought we would have a little bit of fun. I know you're all anxious about this. So I thought I would just celebrate the holidays with a little joyful fun.
You need a streamer?
We have it ready. I think you're ready to see what possibility you will get. As I mentioned last time, that we're going to be doing it very traditionally. So what I would like to do is, I think we have a neutral person, if we can all agree that Karen is here, the state's attorney is here. So she'll oversee this. I have my sheriff's mask, so just in case, right? I have not touched these boxes. Literally, I have had nothing to do with these boxes except to make an instruction that it includes certain items. And those were approved by the state's attorney. So with input from her, we've created these boxes, and these boxes have been sealed. I did not seal them, did not touch them. So please, there's been no mischief on my end. But in order to assure that there's no mischief, here we have a random choice. We're going to be presenting, and I would like you to select a representative from the odds and the evens. That representative is going to come and pull up a straw. Whoever gets the short straw, notice that the straws are identical. You can't tell which straw it is. Hold them tight. Once that straw is drawn, that individual who chooses the short straw will have the first choice in opening up the box. Inside that box, you will discover what your terms of office are going to be.
Are we going to have like campaign speeches for,
Straw?
and we can't go have a caucus about it because that would get us
I
in trouble
nominate
with the
Myrna.
state's
So
attorney.
we have
nominate
the
Myrna.
odds and the
She's number
evens,
one.
so.
But you're on the other side,
What?
aren't you district?
I'm even.
So you can, so
Does everybody know
you
what your
can't
number
pick their
is?
side.
Yeah.
I thought the clerk's
Right.
office. had to do
Shepro,
this.
we're nonpartisan.
Not.
No, I meant even odd.
Even odds.
Okay, I'm not on.
We're
the- I'm not on the
non-mathematical.
odds team.
Clerk's
I'm
name
on the
is
even
George
team.
Fox.
I didn't realize.
In favor.
Here, I'll nominate Myrna because she's District 1.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Okay, very good.
It's about as easy as you get.
I decline. I think it should be the oldest person in the odds and the youngest person in the evens.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
Who's going to admit their age?
The
Yeah,
oldest
exactly.
person in the odds.
I will.
But you're not here, you can't draw.
I know. Well,
I nominate the closest to the straw. Bill, what are you?
Yep, that's my vote.
Then find the next even that's closest.
are.
And the closest one that's even, and move them up there and get her done.
You too.
For that too.
So who do we have?
The odd couple.
Odd, she's even.
Stand in the center
There you go.
room.
Yep,
Wow. Yeah, that's.
there you go. I'm just disappointed. I thought there were cookies in those
I have
boxes.
to dress up for this.
Center ring so everybody can see and it
Yeah,
can be
we ought to
closely
have a
observed.
picture of this. Somebody get their.
Okay, Go,
Just do it there.
literally get in the center.
Standing in the middle. I know.
Mavis, odd or even?
She's odd.
Oh, no, she's odd, but she's representing the.
Both. Stan, there's going to be a request for a forensic audit, no matter what the outcome is. Now you have to draw lots to see who draws.
Flip of the
What are
coin.
you, odd or even?
The shortest or longest?
Oh,
No.
Next step.
Best 2 out of 3.
If you can please just stay there. Stay in the center.
Uh-huh.
She's coming back.
And I'm confused.
I'm disappointed. I thought there were cookies in those
Bill's gonna let her
boxes.
pick the box first.
I thought it was lunch.
No, right?
inside the box, there's a
Okay.
message to go to a park bench in the.
Resolutions.
Their QR code.
Oh,
Go, Bill. Go.
There's an envelope to open still.
The box was out of a box.
Russian eggs.
Just like, well, it's-
Right.
don't. Yeah, don't we hit-
Will this be like Jeopardy?
Four.
Yeah.
All right.
Where's Ernst and Young? Don't they do this kind of thing?
What is that 2 for?
Did that?
We already pay them.
Yeah, no, I got chat. I want to recount.
The evens?
What's the
Raise your hand.
Yeah.
Four-year terms.
It's when.
So everybody knows the odds received a 4-4-2 and the evens have a 2-4-4. Now, some treats that will be passed around, which have been included in that box.
So it's a 4-year term, a 4-year term, and a 2-year.
Oh my gosh.
My county code.
How's this for the odds?
244 and then 442.
Just chance.
I think, what did you get? A mouse or a meese or a moose?
From
That was a
Graham's in
lobster.
Geneva.
Yes,
so-
a moose.
There's just as many lobsters in there.
Okay, so have, keep your sugar
moose
level
eating
up.
a reef.
And I did have a piece of the chocolate. They're really good. Very good.
Both twos.
I hope you got what you hoped
Yeah,
for.
it's getting too long.
Getting hungry.
2 years instead of 4, that's great.
Ham sandwich?
Should be plenty for everybody. Okay, so let's move forward. There are no zoning petitions. Now it's time for committee updates. Are there any committee updates?
Madam Chair, you indicated that you'd like me to give a committee update. After the lengthy discussion, do you still feel that way?
If you feel it's appropriate, if not, fine.
I think we got a lot of that out. I did have some rebuttals to comments made, but I'd prefer not to make those rebuttals at this time. I think the board is well aware that the health department is going to do whatever they can to keep the backside going through January.
Very good, very good. And that was very clear with the discussion that that's going to be happening. Wonderful.
Chair,
Yes, Mr. Ford.
thank you, Madam Chair. At our next job committee meeting, which is going to be Friday at 10 o'clock, we're going to be discussing our plan for 2022. So I'm asking for all that can participate in our discussion.
And when is the date of that meeting?
Friday, which is the 15th, is that right?
Friday would be the
That's
7th.
17. Yep. At 10.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Madam Chair Gums.
Ms. Gums, yes, please.
Hi there. Hi, everyone. Really quick on the legislative committee. Our representatives will be in session starting January 6th, I believe. So if you guys have legislation on your mind, something you want to get done, we got to get that to them before then, or any ideas, questions, or concerns, I would greatly appreciate you bringing that to myself or Cheryl, and we can go forward, but we need input. So thank you.
Thank you.
Human Surges here, Human Services. We have our interviews set, preliminary interviews for our permanent executive director coming up this Thursday. We have a 5-person, 6-person panel that will be conducting those interviews and look forward to actually hopefully having a selection by the end of the year.
Very good, thank you. And a sterling group of candidates indeed.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Consent agenda.
Okay, now we're on to the consent agenda.
Those are mine.
Hey, does everybody have their candy? I would like to have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
All for removals.
Are there any removals to that? Yes.
I would approve it as it is.
No.
Okay, thank you. But are there? Yes.
Good
I'd
try,
like-
though. Good try.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to remove 21-512.
Anything else? Very good.
Copy, please.
Mr.
Copy,
Copy?
please.
Yes, sir.
Let me double check this. 21, 5. Hold on a second. 21, 514.
I'm sorry, couldn't quite hear you. Which one? 21.
514.
514.
Very good.
I'm sorry. I'm
No.
sorry. 513.
Not
513.
514, 513.
That is correct. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
All right, so we're pulling 512 and 513. Anything else? I think Mr. Kenyon.
Mr. Kenyon had a motion to
I would
approve
move we approve the agenda as. with
an
the
agenda. with-
exception of
512 and 513.
With, yeah. Second,
I
Shepro.
tried to make it quicker, but you guys like to sit. and talk.
It is,
Shepro seconds.
thank you, Mr. Shepherd.
Get ready for the
Um,
old folks. home.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
For the consent agenda, Allen.
Allen, aye.
Bates. Aye. Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Oz.
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Copy,
Opie, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Chaparro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Down there sitting, waiting for
Yes,
us.
yes, yes.
Look at number 10.
I got 21 years now.
May I have a motion and a second to approve number 21-512?
Sanchez moves.
Brown, second.
Second, discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I pulled this off consent agenda for two reasons. One, I just wanted to make a comment to thank the county board and especially the members of the American Rescue Plan Committee. It has been a long time coming, putting this program together. We've put a lot of hard work into it, a lot of really good conversations and great ideas that came of it. And the results are going to be even better. The $4 million going out into the community to support behavioral mental health, food pantries and homeless shelters is $4 million. Doesn't seem a lot in the context of 103, but it is a lot of money and it's going to do a lot of good. So I'm really proud of the work we've all done. I wanted to thank everybody for that. The second reason that I pulled this off, it was recommended by the state's attorneys that an amendment be made to this resolution. You all have a copy of that in front of you. If you go to the second page, there are two short paragraphs. The now therefore.
I do not.
Oh, I'm sorry. The two short paragraphs, the now therefore be it further resolved, were some last minute inclusions that the state's attorney's office requested that we put in there. It's just technicalities to make sure that any work that we're doing to get this program put together is not slowed down by the normal board process. I know Michelle Neerman of the State's Attorney Civil Division is here. If anyone has any questions regarding this amendment. So I would move to amend the resolution to include these two paragraphs and ask for a second.
Shepro seconds.
Madam Chair.
yes.
Surges. Jared, could you just explain what slowdowns that this board might, I don't know what that comment was. And this is the first I've seen that. Can somebody help me with that?
Michelle might be able to explain it more fully, but I think it really has to do with just the language in some of our resolutions that authorize certain powers.
So Mr. Shepherd very eloquently explained Dylan's role to you previously, but just to ensure that the ARP committee has the proper authority to just kind of get moving, post the application on the website, et cetera, without additional board approval. That's what these amendments are intended to do. If, however, you would like to review every single decision, that is something else that we can address as well.
Not at all, ma'am.
Okay, this came about as a sentiment we gathered from the last ARP committee meeting that everyone really wanted to get moving with these ARP applications, get them posted so that we could start reviewing and get out community grants.
Okay. And further, Madam Chair, while I greatly appreciate having the outline that we're putting together, I will once again stress that the $2 million that was set aside specifically for mental health, if there was any way to cut through red tape and move that faster, I would be encouraging of that. That's not an omnibus statement. That is specific to, I believe, those 6 foundations, organizations, groups that have applied and have been approved, if you will. If there was some way to expedite that for them, I would absolutely be in favor of that specifically at this time of year.
Just as an update, and just everyone knows that conversation we just had is included in the second paragraph, if you've had a chance to quickly review it. It came across my inbox today, and I believe Mr. Sanchez, of course, received this, that not only is it the 6 main providers, but our local 708 boards in the northern part of Kane County are going to be meeting, have requested a meeting with Mr. Sanchez and Mr. Phillips to discuss the application. So they're going to be beyond the 6, is why I'm bringing this up. There's going to be many more.
Understand, those 6 were the 6 that were pointed out to me and that have advocated for themselves and come to my attention as an urgency. So
Any other discussion? Seeing none, please go.
And this is on the amend and
Amendment,
replace.
on the amendment.
This is on the amendment that has the 2 paragraphs.
Correct.
Okay. Ellen? Okay. Bates?
Yes.
Berman?
Berman, yes.
Brown?
Brown, yes.
Davis?
Davis, yes.
Ford?
Ford, yes.
Praz?
Yes.
Gums?
Gums, yes.
Iqbal?
Iqbal, yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Opie? Opie? Leonard?
Leonard, yes.
Lewis?
Lewis, yes.
Martin?
Martin, yes.
Molina?
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepherd, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Burgess,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
and when Nikki's not here, that passes.
Okay, very good. Now
Copy.
may.
Copy, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome
Allen,
back.
aye.
Thank
Welcome
you, Miss
back.
Allen.
Thank you very much.
Passes.
So now may I have any further discussion on the amendment resolution as amended?
No, we passed it.
We just passed as amended.
it was
Oh, thank you
amend and
very much.
replace.
Thank you. I think I need a piece of that chocolate.
513.
Wasn't the first vote on the amendment?
May I have a motion and a second to approve item number 21-513?
Sanchez moves.
Praz second.
Discussion.
So this was an amendment to what was presented.
Copy, please.
Yes, Mr. Copey.
Hi, thank you. Good morning, everyone. The concern I have is that the actions that can be taken here in regards to the ARP funds, there is there's a disruption in the structure of our committee and so on that we're going to be contemplating in a month, and then there's other considerations. And I was wondering, is it possible we could table this resolution for a month also?
Mr. Shepherd?
I think the need for this service is not dependent on what you're calling the committee. It needs to be done, I think, in either case. And postponing this would, I think, postpone much committee action, whether it is a standing or a special committee. And so therefore, I think it's something that needs to be done. My understanding is that this would authorize an additional assistant state's attorney. And I think, joking aside, the state's attorney's office is currently seized of so many things that I think it is a necessary step and would not depend on what decision is made with respect to amending the county code. So I would urge that we go forward with it.
Okay, very good. Yes.
John Martin here. I agree with everything Mr. Shepard said and would add to it that there's a lead time on all of this stuff. We can't just decide we're going to hire a new state's attorney today and have it tomorrow. So we need to get this ball rolling so that we can begin to address issues in a constructive manner.
Very good. Yes, Mr. Franz.
The lesson learned with the the lesson learned with the COVID money was that we did not have adequate staff and infrastructure in place to handle all the questions from the board and all that kind of thing. So it's very important that we get everything in place so that we're ready to roll. And I would also urge passage.
Very good. Mr. Kobe, I've heard you try to
Yes,
speak.
ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have a couple fundamental concerns, and that is the state's attorney will be overseeing the administration and the expenditures of the ARP funds and giving legal advice. Now, would the state's attorney's office be bound to have the responsibility if there is a mistake made or federal government comes back to us and says that you're responsible? And then the other question that I believe is fundamental is that the administration and expenditures of the funds will be directly associated with her office and with Ms. Musser's office. And I was curious if and my legal expertise is zilch, and everybody knows that. So I'm not being a wise guy. Is that would that be considered a conflict of interest in any way? And those are the two fundamental questions I'd like to have solved. And as long as we're here and we're going to proceed, if there could be some type of input on that, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shipper. I see your hand up, and Ms. Mosser's right here, so let her address this.
Thank you. So the administration and distribution of the funds would be done by the ARP committee. It would not be done by the state's attorney's office. We would be providing legal advice as we go through that, much in the same way that I do for anything that is needed for the county board or their elected officials. So I do not believe that there is any conflict whatsoever. I would like to point out that we have been, since the pandemic hit, providing legal advice in regards to the COVID and how the funds are being distributed. I would like to point out too that these attorneys have not increased in number, but the workload has increased exponentially. At a minimum, these attorneys who are being paid for 35 hours a week are working 50 to 60 hours plus every week on these issues amongst the other issues that they were already handling. So on behalf of the state's attorney's office, I am asking that this board vote for this, because I believe that this will actually give us the ability to truly provide the best and sound legal advice.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes.
Just a quick supplement. I think the resolution we just adopted makes clear that it is the county board which is making those decisions. And as a little commercial for my other amendment, part of the reason for this is that unlike a standing committee, which code already says state's attorney, help, staff, et cetera, when we established the ARPA committee, there was no long narrative of all the powers and so forth. And therefore, we have to specifically grant them the power. And because it's an ad hoc committee, it's not automatic that the state's attorney or anybody else would provide support services. So I think, Tom, this just says what the state's attorney just said is that the legal services are going to be, I think, no different in substance than what's provided to any existing standing committee. This just makes clear that we're asking them to do it, and they will do it, and will fund it presumably.
Since they're willing to do that much extra work, and they volunteer to give vaccinations to.
Trained.
I don't know that you want me to do that.
You happen to give good jabs. If there's no
Well,
other
thank you
discussion.
for the clarity.
Are you fine, Mr. Kobe?
Yes, thank you for the clarity. Thank you.
Very good. I think we should call the vote.
For a second, I think he did do a motion to table. I don't believe it was seconded at this time unless there was. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Second.
I don't think there was a
I
second.
didn't second Cope.
No,
No,
it's for no second.
yeah, there's no second.
It really wasn't a motion, it was a suggestion.
It was a
So
suggestion.
anyway, I think we can vote on the main motion.
We all agree? Let's vote. Please call the roll. Okay, this is to vote and pass 21-513. Ellen?
Allen, aye.
Bates?
Bates, aye.
Berman?
Berman, yes.
Brown?
Brown, yes.
Davis?
Davis, yes.
Ford?
Ford, yes.
Raz?
Yes.
Gums? Iqbal?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Opie?
Copy, yes.
Leonard?
Leonard, yes.
Lewis?
Lewis, yes.
Martin?
Martin, yes.
Melina?
Lena, yes.
Sanchez?
Sanchez, yes.
Jepro?
Chevrolet, yes.
Silva?
Silva, yes.
Strathman?
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis?
Burgess, yes.
Tepe?
Tepe, yes.
And Wallace?
Yes.
Gums is here.
What's your vote? She didn't vote.
I was a yes.
Okay, I didn't hear you. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Passes.
Okay, so now we're on to 21-550. May I have a motion in a second?
Sanchez moves.
Leonard seconds.
Second?
So Shepro,
Yes.
so if we vote this down, do we get a do-over?
Yes, yes, yes.
I want a new map.
What is, I'm sorry, which one?
To clarify this now with the odds and evens?
You get
That's what I'm
the four.
reviewing right now. Okay. So can you help us walk through that, what it's going to be wording so we can make that, we're all clear?
Wait, do you have? You have before you a motion under the now therefore be it ordained clauses. The first paragraph has, or the first and second paragraph have essentially terms that need to be inserted. So the first paragraph reads, members elected and taking office in 2022 to represent even numbered county board districts shall serve for, and I believe Ms. Bates was an even number and drew the term two.
Yes. Sorry, you guys.
So that would be a two. And their successors, and the language continues on. Paragraph 2 pertains to the odd numbered county board districts, which would be a 4. So I would suggest that someone, one of the board members make an amendment to reflect that number 1 indicates 2 and paragraph number 2 indicates 4.
Second, Sanchez.
Second.
Question for the state's attorney, Shepro. I don't have this in front of me. Does it specifically refer to the fact that this has been determined by lot?
Yeah.
It does, okay.
I believe it does. I wrote this a while ago.
But it says it requires us to determine by lot.
Determined by law.
Yes, but I think it should contain the recitation that there has been, in fact, been that determination.
Who got it first?
So perhaps in the beginning phrase, now therefore be it ordained by the Kane County Board that the following terms of office for county board members, perhaps you could make a motion to amend to insert after having drawn or after having determined by lot, set off by commas, are hereby adopted pursuant to section 2-28 of the King County Code.
May I make a alternate suggestion? Well, first off, there's a motion to amend on the table. But if we were to do a further motion, I would suggest that we do it with another whereas the county board duly conducted decided by lot on, I forgot what today is, December 14th,
as hereinafter set forth, and then we made the recitation and finding that a lottery was conducted.
What are your thoughts? Do you want to do another whereas, or do you simply feel that it would?
We want a duo.
We want a duo.
Sir,
I-
what would be your
I
recommendation?
would ask the people that made the motion and second if they would add that to their motion and second.
The whereases
Yeah.
or just the quick phrase?
Whereas, and then the numbers that were recommended by the state's attorney.
Okay, very good. Who made the
I
motion?
believe it was Surges.
Surges motion and
Yes,
Sanchez second.
Sanchez second.
yes. Mr. Surges, would you accept that as a? as-
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? I would, I was hoping to drag it out and stay here longer. so, I mean,
More candy.
I concur. I agree.
We just have to have the words so it's clear, the whereases.
For the word.
So this is going to create a third whereas, right?
Yes. Whereas on the 14th day of December, the county board duly determined by lot the,
That was done earlier.
yeah, duly determined by lot the terms of the respective members of the county board as hereinafter set forth.
Perfect. Okay, so now I think we need to have a vote on that. Is that correct? And then we can,
Well, now that's been folded into the other motion to amend with the consent of the mover and the seconder. And therefore,
we can call
we
the
could
vote
now vote on the
as amended.
amended resolution. That's on the motion to amend the resolution.
That's all one motion.
Point of information.
No, we're voting on a single amendment, including the revision, which if passed, we would then vote on the motion as amended.
All right.
It's very good. All right, Mr. Cope, you had a question? No, okay, so let's just take the vote. Could I please have a vote on the amendments to the resolution?
Okay, and right now I have that amendment. Surges is okay with it, and Sanchez, you're fine with it. And this is on the amended with the terms and the, including the
The new
separate
whereas.
whereas. Okay, just the amendment. Ellen,
Alan, I.
Bates. Bates is not here. Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes. Fled the scene of her disastrous performance.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Raz, Gums,
Yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon.
Yes.
Caius,
Bring about us.
What? This is for the amendment.
amendment
right?
only, yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
yes. Guys, yes.
Opie,
Opie, yes.
thank you. Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Melina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Reluctantly, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Reluctantly, yes.
Wallace.
So you can read
Okay, that passes.
Just pain. They're good.
Very good. All right, almost done.
Call the question on the main motion.
Oh, main motion.
550 as amended.
Point of information.
Yes, is that Mr. Copey?
Berman.
Berman. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Berman. Yes,
Now,
my
is it
apologies.
True, if we vote no, we draw again.
That's right. It starts off, but I have no more candy.
There's some left.
And we'll save that for the next 10 years. So please call, no other discussion, please call the roll.
Okay, this is 21-550 as amended. Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown, yes.
Davis. Davis.
You just
no.
left.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Opie,
Copy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Melina,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Reluctantly, yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Tepe,
Very reluctantly. yes.
Wallace.
For you guys.
We're never happy.
Okay, very good. Almost done.
Ah, Jesus.
21-551. May I have a motion and a second
Bates
to
moves.
approve? Bates?
Leonard seconds.
Leonard. Is there any discussion on this?
No.
Or firmly? I think that was a firm no.
Is it pulled?
If we are all firm, no more discussion, please
This is
call. the
which
roll.
one? 551? Is there discussion? Yes.
Yes, please.
Sorry. Yeah, you tried to get me, didn't you? Just like quick, just to remind, despite Mr. Martin considering that we should pay in the northern part of the county for everybody's bridges, I think that we should.
Wrong one.
And we shouldn't.
This is wrong.
This is the courthouse, Chris, not the bridge.
Oh, excuse me. Never mind.
Okay,
Remind of both there. Just keep
I already missed that one.
so I think we're ready to call the
Please.
vote on this one.
Yeah.
New electricity for Third Street Courthouse, bringing it up to date from this antique building so that our computers there and lights will work appropriately. It's a no-brainer. Please call the roll.
21-551. Allen,
As a believer in old buildings, Alan votes aye.
okay, Bates,
Yes, I.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Davis, not here, Ford,
Ford, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Opie,
Copy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis. Yes. Martin,
Martin, yes.
Melina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surgis,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Wallace.
Aye.
Okay,
All right,
that
it
passes. One more.
Oh,
And I'm looking forward to having your presentation. May I have a motion and a second to approve, possibly approve item number 21-552?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would move to approve 21-552 and place on file as if made at this meeting, the comments by Mr. Caius at the executive committee.
Second.
Do
Second.
that? Oh, you think that'll shut me up? do you?
Okay, is there, sir, is there any discussion?
Can only hope.
Of course there is. But it'll be shorter because not everybody was at the executive committee, despite Mr. Martin's suggestion that north part of the county pay for all the bridges. Jokingly, I'm going to vote no on this, and I encourage everyone else to too. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Frost.
I would just like to announce that the ribbon cutting will be late summer of next year.
I think you should have it on Chris's birthday.
That'll be in January, so I think.
Don't invite
Any
me.
other discussion on this item? Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, no.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Davis. Oops.
Davis, yes.
Oh, you're here. Okay.
That.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Raz, Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Bias, no.
Opie,
Copy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis. Lewis, yes. Martin,
Martin, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez,
sorry.
no.
Okay, Melina,
Molina, no.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, no.
Strathman, no. Surgis,
Surgis, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Wallace.
Yes.
That passes.
Motion
1, 2,
passes.
3, 4, 5 nays.
Are there any 20 of your employees who are still here, or
well,
did they all
let's- there's no need to
retire
exult-
during the meeting?
I've now become
I
30
think,
year
I think they have retired.
21 years now.
Maybe a few cookies downstairs that are left. And they were, in case they have gone, they were provided with a, turn the lights off. They were provided with a lovely clock, a small clock recognizing their 20 years of service, flowers in recognition, as well as cookies and treats that are downstairs. So I think we all need to, if we can, just pop on downstairs. I don't know if anybody's left, but congratulate them. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a presentation indeed. It'll go quick. Okay, the PowerPoint. And on the presentation, we'll recognize all those individuals for the last 2 years who have achieved 20 years worth of service, which is a testimony to the board and the work of the county. Okay, here we go. should all feel very proud. Now, may I have a motion and a second to adjourn this meeting to January 11th, 2022?
So move, Madam
All a
Chairman.
second.
And before I call the consensus vote, may I wish you a very happy holiday season and a very happy new year, as well as shorter board meetings.
Tremendous.